people? Welcome to How to Trade During the Midday. That is your boy, Joey Options. And we are hanging out. It's a red Tuesday today, waiting for everyone to come on over from the other stream. We're going to shout everybody out. Taking a little bit longer than it usually does today. Shout out to Monty G, shout out to Fiddleback, and here comes the world's greatest mod. Shout out to the OG Darwin, shout out to Tisha. Yes, Tisha, I'm looking at DWTX. I bet you're looking at that one too. What else we got? We got Big. Okay, I see you there, Big. Vern, Trader B, Patrick Riley, Dear Oil. How about Hytham and Mary? Shout out to Vecna and Dwight. Zeke is in the house. Shout out to Charlie. Go Rats. Shout out to Rob Newland and 2 New York Cents. Andrew Chow joining us as well. Shout out to Jordy VWAP and Ayo Lewis, Rory IRE and Ronaldo. Jai Singh. We got X Baines and Amit. Paul Van S. Rob Newland, Cameron Lum, and how about Mohammed Mukati, Jordy again, Shane W. We got who else we got here? We even got Joe. Shout out to Joe. Nightbot and the Piper. Shout out to Mark Susi and Oscarito. Hope everybody had a fantastic morning. And I didn't see you guys yesterday. I hope everybody had a fantastic week. Good morning, Joe.
Yeah, good morning, my friend. Yeah, we can go back to that. We can go back to that anytime you would like to. Okay, all right. Meme Madness, what happened to him? You look at the screenshot instead of taking profit. Yeah, happens. Very interesting. All right, guys, let's see what we got cooking up. Tried flipping the bias here on the Alibaba, so not working out too good. We went long, and then I'm like, what am I doing? Let's try to fade some of these pops, and then you get squeezed out. So that is Alibaba trade, and then we took some TSLA as well too, guys. So that worked out best for us here. I'm really mad at myself because it was my #1 game plan, and I wanted to be right in at the volume weighted average price. But I've seen this nice consolidation phase here, and then I'm like, okay, we're holding these levels. Let me get in at the bottom of the range, and then I added here, and then got the pop out. But then I got stopped out the remainder over here. So yeah, still slightly red on the session. That's okay. We'll figure something out. There's a lot of time left. I think it's time to fade some of these pops, even though it might be a little bit too late for that. We've been doing that for the past couple of weeks now. So yeah, be patient. Shrif, we got a lesson to go through. Anything you want to touch on?
Yeah, let's look at the small cap gappers that we got on focus today. We're looking at Ray here. So it's Ray and DWTX are the ones that I'm going to be focusing my attention on. Ray just got tradable. Took out that high. We had that $1.80, $1.85 trouble. We're taking it out now with the $1.85 at the high. DWTX as well. Great looking name. Great looking move. It's a holdover from Friday because I was holding this bad boy on the side charts from Friday because I wasn't here yesterday. Good look for it today. Up about 41%, but it's rivaling Ray. Ray's up a lot more. Up 102% give or take. MTEC. Good look as well. About 33 and change here. It's a VWAP hold. This is a hell of a looking bull flag. It's going to have to hold VWAP for me to stay interested. It's got a sellers though galore up at that 1150 area. So MTech in focus. MYO, not much of a like a continuation play here, but it's got a good bull pennant under construction, so to speak, at the moment. Big move up, lower highs but higher lows, consolidating at VWAP. So let's see if this one holds. HSAI, I was really close to having a trade on this. So this one was a VWAP retracement. I might break my rules for this specific one. I like this $20 area. So if VWAP gives up the ghost at around 21, HSAI definitely in focus for me around that $20 area, will be in focus there. Pay as well, taking out the day's high as we speak. It's a bit more expensive of a small cap gapper, but a gnarly looking bull flag forming here above the volume weighted average price. And we just took out that $30 level for the first time on the day. 30 1/3 now is the high of the day on Pay. So there's a lot of these ones running. The question's going to be, though, whether they're able to hold up above the volume weighted average price and not give up the ghost as we get into the more illiquid time of the day. I'm talking about that midday time. Last but not least, and then we'll get to Joseph's lesson here, EXK, a bit of a tough one to say, but it's up 17% and doing the absolute most in a good way here, holding above the volume weighted average price. So all these ones haven't given up the ghost yet. And by that, I mean they haven't broken down below VWAP. So for the moment, small caps are looking good. Let's see if it hangs out that way by the time Joe's done his lesson. What you got?
Yeah, let's hop right in here. We're going to be talking some iron butterflies, guys. So, yeah, strap in. Shall be a roller coaster. All right, so the market seems to want to take a little bit more of a push up here. So we hopped into some Alibaba. Once again, we're going to look for the break of this range. So you can see I'm at 138.21. If we can go and test 139, then maybe we'll start to take some profits. I also want to add to this position to make it as big as possible. So here we go, guys. Let's hop right in here. The iron butterfly, and this is what we're going to be going over today. So it's an option strategy. It is credit-based. We'll go to Adara, and then we'll start the lesson.
Sir, about the interruption there, I just saw this coming through now. Snowflake actually near high of days. The information reporting that Google and Anthropic are discussing an AI security deal with Snowflake and Databricks. So Snowflake and Databricks both in talks here with Google and Anthropic for an AI security deal, SNOW, near day's highs. Apologies for the interruption. Back to the guys.
Alibaba just now on that pop there, guys. So average now up to 138.43. Going to push for that 139 to 140. All right, so let's get right into it. The iron butterfly is popular option strategy that consists of a combination of 4 options contracts, both calls and puts, that expire in the same cycle. All right, so same expiration cycle. It's designed for low volatility markets. Okay, so it's like, Joe, why are you explaining this? But it's good to know. All right, because we're in heightened volatility right now, and requires the underlying asset to close at a specific level and strike price. Okay, so consists of a net credit. This means it is a fixed profit strategy. So whatever credit you receive, whatever premium you receive, that is the most that you can make on this trade. Higher premium received than an iron condor. Okay, so take that into consideration. And why do you receive more of a credit here on the butterfly? It's because you have to be more precise, right? We know that with an iron condor, we are giving the underlying asset the ability to trade within a range, and as long as we close within that range, we collect the full premium. It is the polar opposite with the iron butterfly. We need it to close at a specific strike price, okay? So it's not something that you necessarily hold until expiration. You more or less hold it to collect theta, and then when you get closer to expiration, then you just close the position, all right? So, all right, let's see. Consists of 4 total contracts, 1 short at the money call, 1 short at the money put, 1 long out the money call, and 1 long out the money put. This may seem confusing, but we will go over an example here shortly. The short at the money contracts can be classified as the body of the butterfly, and the out the money contracts can be classified and called the wings of the butterfly. And then that's why for all my options traders out there, when you have a broken wing butterfly, you have a slight imbalance on the wings there, okay? So market neutral based strategy, low volatility market environment, theta works in your favor, and it is a credit based trade. The maximum loss is pre-calculated and defined and only triggers when positions closes above or below your long call and a put, okay? So here it is. This is how you would construct a broken wing here, or sorry, a butterfly, not a broken wing. This is a fixed wing here, so everything is constructed correctly. So we have 2 short at the money call puts and calls here, and then you can see that we buy our protection to obviously to hedge our downside risk. So what does this do? You can see that we are going to collect $3.82 here on the call side and $2.89, and then you just subtract the debit that is also required. That is what you have to pay, leaving you at a net credit. So this is what it would look like. You would collect $3.19. So in options terms, or is $3.19, but in equity terms, you can classify it as $319. Okay, but you can see the probability of profit. We went through this earlier in the morning, and it is drastically lower. It's just due to the precision that is required in this underlying setup. Okay, the objective of this is not to close at the specific strike price, but to allow contract and theta decay to allow you to collect premium day after day. All right, so this is just a weekly expiration cycle, and that's what you want. So a couple days, you're going to be swaying out in here, but what the objective is just, okay, let the contract slowly diminish, and the chances of you closing right at that specific strike price are relatively low, but you can also just collect premiums as day goes on. All right, so Pros, limited risk and defined losses, unlike short straddles and strangles. Profit from time decay. High net credits received compared to other credit-based trades. Cons, narrow profit range. Accuracy is extremely important. High assignment risk due to the short options and the accuracy that comes along with it, and then requires close monitoring. So if you're not at your screen every day, it's not like the iron condor, it's the polar opposite. You want to focus on it, and if you have the ability to collect some premium, then it's just best to close those contracts. This isn't my go-to strategy. I know a lot of traders love it just for the fact that you can collect a lot more premium than an iron condor, but I like using the iron condor. It's a little bit more passive and you have a wider range within to close within. All right, guys? So that is the iron butterfly. If you have any questions, be sure to put them in the chat and I will go over them and answer them to the best of my ability. But Sharif, what you got going on?
Yeah, we're in DWTX right now, looking at working my way into the $11 area. Ideally, it holds up at this 11 1/4. 11 1/4 is an area of interest to me, specifically because it is the 10 exponential moving average overlapping with a previous area of price action support. I'm talking about that 1020 AM wick into 1120. So did defend that, or did reject off that 11 1/4 initially. So I'd like to see it ideally hold up there. But that's not the end of the matter for me. If it continues heading down, I like it all the way into VWAP. So I've set my resting, what are they called? DCAs into this. The next one to be filled here is at the $0.33. The one lower than that is 1107. So we're long 1183s. We're showing 64s. I was able to eke out some profits above 12 there before that move down before 12. So let's see how this one does. It's establishing itself quite well. It's above the pre-market high. It's got good volume. It's respecting previous areas of price action resistance, now support. So we'll see if this one holds up above, number one, the 10 exponential moving average, which is that $0.25, but ideally, ideally holds up 11 1/4, but my line in the sand is that volume weighted average price. The reason I'm looking at the side chart there is because VWAP on my side chart starts populating at 4 a.m. and that's the one that I use. So we just got added there at the $0.33. So now it's eking into that $0.25. We're gonna have to be careful here. Now got 71s. Last DCA will be into 11, and if it doesn't hold 11, which is the volume weighted average price, that's the end of the trade. We'll take a hit there. I'm also looking at RAY. This one was up 100% last time I looked at it. It's having all sorts of trouble with that $1.80 area. So it's got multiple topping tails all into that 175, 180. The best we did on the day was that 185. And it kind of looks like it's setting up for a possible double top, with the neckline being around that $1.20. You can kind of see the closing prints all around that $1.30, but really the wicks go below that $1.20. It's not a trade that I'll be taking, the double top on a small cap gapper short below VWAP, but it is a sound strategy you can employ if that is kind of your cup of tea. Looking back at DWTX now, we're long 71s. Now it's showing me 64s, so probably behooves me to throw something out a little bit lower than the mid 80s over here to extract some profits. If this one pops back up, I'd like to have a resting profit taker that is, to take said print. So we'll see exactly what this one does, giving up some of the earlier momentum it had at 13, 14 high of day. Nothing else for me other than RAY, which I don't really want to jump into right now. I had an idea on RAY to trade it simultaneously with DWTX. The idea would be to take VWAP, but then I stared at it a little bit more. And I said, well, there was a whole lot of disrespect for VWAP, basically from 1025 to when we reclaimed it at 11. So why do I want to base a trade off the volume weighted average price if the ticker on the day has shown you kind of, it may or may not respect it. Like sometimes you get some wicks off VWAP and sometimes you don't. So that's not really the setup I'm looking for right now, but this one is closing in on the high of day, and there it goes through the high now, 190 HOD on RAY. It's got good momentum behind it. It's got a good amount of volume though. But now that I actually look at the volume, it's actually not that good for a $1 name, so I stand corrected. We have about 30.5 million shares traded on a $1.85, a ticker that's a $1.85. So not my favorite volume profile on it, but that could change absolutely. METC kind of doing nothing. This one might have to be replaced, and I might have to keep HSAI a little closer to the other trading screen. This is the one that keeps giving you that that bounce off the volume weighted average price, and now you've got higher highs and higher lows. You're still south of that $23 area, which is where you topped out on the day, $22.92. But anything off the volume weighted average price for HSAI, I think I'm a buyer, so much so that I'm throwing an alert in and around that 21 and a fifth area, so that if we do retrace a little bit off that 22 and a quarter we're trading at right now, I'm able to be notified and then possibly get in here. Back to DWTX, no prints into the 70s. Best this one could do was pop up into the mid 60s. So DWTX position currently in trouble with one more planned DCA into that $11 area. It's going to have to hold 11, as I mentioned previously, Joe. So that's all I got at the moment.
Yeah. Jimmy, what do you say? You're good? Yeah, I'm good. Looking a little concerned at the start of the show here. Yeah, I mean, hey, it's I'm good, to be honest with you. I had a good gym session yesterday, and that's it. Hit some negatives, and yeah, here this morning, the time change may be a little still affecting, but that's all right. Let's see. I just popped out of BABA, anyways, to see what's going on. It faked me out, and now we're climbing a little bit higher, so a little tentative here. In the morning session, it's slightly frustrating, but that's okay. I'm going to avoid this name. I took enough attempts at it. If it wants to climb higher, which I think it will, because I checked the cam range this morning and we're sitting on top of R4, but we might have already done the traverse from R4 to R6 here. I don't have the structure, but it's looking like it is. So maybe we get a little bit of a fade here in the morning. But yeah, tough getting some stuff going for me as of the past couple of days. But that's okay. We'll sort it out. But Tesla's starting to climb higher and higher. Would like to be in at VWAP. This is the name that's been working for me the best, and I want to just stick to things that have been working and avoid things that haven't. So for me, that's been iBid. I added heavily into position, didn't work out. So I just did I stuck to my 3-strike rule, and now I'm avoiding it. 3 strikes, 3 attempts there on Alibaba, couldn't get it going. So see you later. Adios, muchachos. We're not going to be looking at those names anymore, and that's okay. It's not that I'm mad at them or anything along those lines. Is I've took my stabs, following my rules and waiting for that precise opportunity in order for me to capitalize on. And I'm sure it will arise. And if it doesn't, maybe it'll come tomorrow, and I'll be sitting here waiting for it to do so. But yeah, here we go. We can see that we're starting to get somewhat of a recovery here in Tesla. So TSLA up about 6.3%. That would put Tesla at half of that there, guys. So about 3.3% up on the day. Nice move during the opening drives, but then gave back the majority of it, went negative, and then now trading back above the volume weighted average price. Let's see if that elastic effect comes in the indicator, or we're literally just going to sell all these pops. The Qs are constructing lower highs as well too, guys, so take that into consideration. Going to be hard for these names to get the ball rolling if the overall market and Meta and some of these Mag 7 names don't want to participate, but we shall find something to trade. So I don't want to buy the bottom of this range just yet in case we get this VWAP test, and that's what I would prefer to get in. But if I do catch the bottom of the range or have the opportunity to do so again, then you can see our risk to reward ratio. My issue being is that we went on a nice recovery on the 5-minute time frame and on these lower time frames, but that volume wasn't standoutish. Even though we have this, it's kind of on the rise here, it's just not great enough. This isn't a genuine move in my opinion. I would like to see a little bit more volume, but I could be wrong as we start to climb higher and higher. Now sitting in the middle of this range, if you can see, and that's one thing. So you want to pay attention to the tape, and you can see how we're just constantly flushing here. So just hitting the bid and below the bid. And then when we're on the opposite side of that, when you see orders start hitting the ask and above the ask, we're not as reactive. So you need to take that into consideration and how that's going to affect the underlying asset. So yeah, I'm glad I got out of Alibaba. I should have locked in some profits at 139 there. I did not. That's okay, because I had about a 50-cent move there. But that's okay. A little break-even trade. Going to look for the bottom of the range here on TSLA. And then, yeah, take it from there. NVDA, nice recovery above the volume-weighted average price. iBid as well, too, recovering off of those lows. And Tesla still just hovering around this consolidation phase. So let's see if we can hop into the bottom of the range there, Sharif, and get
Yes, sir. Still waiting here on DWTX. Nothing doing. We're still putting in lower highs, so that's not actually correct. We're doing exactly what I hoped we wouldn't do, is to put in lower lows and lower highs. Still into an area I feel comfortable holding it into. I'm talking about that $11 area. It's not a random level. It is the volume weighted average price. Also price action resistance previously into this area over here, kind of the bull flag, initial bull flag at the open, boom, sideways consolidation below 10. We break through 10. We bull flag into 11, boom. This time kind of the same thing. We bull flag into 12, but we had excess liquidity that took us into that 13, 14 high a day. So we're still doing the dance here. Now we're getting pops. We're getting pops into that 2/3 of a dollar, that low 60s, high 50s area, but that's not going to cut it for me. I'm long 71s, and I didn't get my DCA into at 1107s. So this one is still trouble for me. So I'm going to keep my eye out on this one. I had an ill-fated trade that lasted all about 7 seconds here on MTEC. The idea was to take the VWAP retracement and to pop back up, but I had my stop a little bit too tight. I based my stop on the previous area trough, which was that 10 mid-90s. Having gotten in at 11, I got stopped out as soon as that 90 penny area broke. So super tight stop there. Probably not the best execution of a trade because, you know, you can definitely get areas of illiquidity, liquidity grabs, kind of the opposite of that, and then right into the downside we go, and then pop right back up. So I'm going to wait for $11 to get retaken here on MTEC before I dance with that one again. The other one I'm looking at, surprisingly, is Moderna. Moderna's getting decimated on the day, much like these overall markets, but there is an interesting trade for me here on mRNA, and it's a VWAP retracement trade. Now, this last little pop-up into 33, say in 2/3, didn't quite reach a level that I want. I'm looking for that 34, maybe 33, low 90s, high 80s retracement. I'm talking about in and around this area. That's where VWAP is on my chart, and Moderna has rejected VWAP very cleanly twice already on the day. So I'm willing to put my money on another third rejection here on mRNA. So much so that I placed an alert at a little bit below the volume weighted average price there to be notified when and if it does dip down there. So mRNA looking short at a specific area of the volume weighted average price. We'll have to see if that bad boy comes in. Still holding DWTX though, nothing doing there. Keeping an eye all the while on RAY. RAY is the big boy winner on the day, up 102%. $1.93 high. Takes out, in fact, that dollar trade and holds well above $1. This thing has a low of 89 pennies on the day. So did that dance with the $1 trade, and for the moment, it has won out. Now, the idea for us is to get in on a key area of technical support. I'm going to continue to feel that VWAP here is a little bit of a bamboozling level. We gave up VWAP quite aggressively on this move back down, reclaimed it. I don't know if we're gonna get that same price action over here, but VWAP on my chart, one low 60s, maybe 160 give or take. So we'll see if this one wants to pop back up, drop back down into that $1.60. You know, I'm just gonna throw it out there, man. Let's go ahead and wait at a 163. If we can get a fill in and around VWAP, maybe a little bit higher, all the better there. Back to DWTX, showing me 60s here for the first time in a while. I've been waiting here at 77s. No pop-up, sadly, into the 70s yet, but it's showing me 68s. All right, now we're getting 75s. There we go. We get a couple of prints to the high side. Let's see if we can get some more. Now the next area I'm waiting is the 80s level. So let's see if DWTX wants to give us something here. We're long 65s now, so not a bad look in the money on this one. There we go to the high side again. Let's see if we can take out 12 here on DWTX. I'm willing to bet we probably don't take out 12 that easily. So I'm going to take out more here, just knowing that, you know, these small caps have been, you know, a little bit trouble lately. A little bit of trouble with the rest isn't actually that down today. It's the best performing major average. Oh, well, it and the NQ. So 0.15 in negative land here for the Russell 2000. So not a bad look, not a bad look. I thought we were down more than that. So here we go, 190 again. We're long 50, so we're 50 cents in the money. Gives me a bit of a cushion with which to work, and it kind of takes the pressure off a little bit here. So having planned DCAs definitely got me out of some trouble, but underline that word, planned DCAs into a level that I like. Let's see if it holds up here, Joseph.
Yeah, nice look there. So yeah, here we go. We're gonna hop in some TSLL here. So Tesla, looking like we're holding the volume weighted average price fairly well here, guys. What I'm referring to here on the 5-minute time frame is that you can see that we have these nice strong engulfing up moves and then a nice consolidation phase on lower volume. So what I'm looking for is essentially that ABCD pattern, okay? So basic stuff here, basic TA. So you can see A, B, consolidation C, and then D, you get the move, and then this would be the second leg here. So A, B, consolidation move, D to the top side, and that's what we're gonna look for, a target of 8 or possibly even the high of day. I know that Katina Man mentioned an interesting fact. He said, okay, last time Tesla dropped 13%, they had a nice 7% recovery day. We're now sitting at around 3%. And I'm not saying necessarily that's going to happen today, but I'm going to look for a recovery in this name, down 45% with no significant pullback. Then let's see if we can get involved. I know I'm slightly going counter trend here, but that's okay. It's working right now. And if we have to add into the position at the break of this phase here, then I'm going to do so. But I need to see that momentum and that volume start to kick in here on the lower time frames. And you can see here on my right-hand side of the screen that the tape isn't necessarily cooperating. So we want to see those clean flushes above the ask and at the ask, but we're not seeing that. We're seeing them hit the bid more or less. Okay, so keep that in mind and in consideration. So yeah, holding on to that. I like the TQs as well, but we got to continue to monitor what's going on with that. We are constructing lower highs as well too. So once we load up here, we'll be able to do a little basic TA. I don't know why you're not loading. Okay, anyways, we'll pull this up here and see what's going on. So it's a little more difficult with the 1-minute time frame, but you can see what I'm looking at here. So we have to break through this 60 level in order for us to climb higher, I believe. And if that momentum starts to kick in, then I think we'll be sitting in a pretty place, especially with Tesla, because it can drag the market up. A rising tide lifts all boats, and that's what we're aiming for here. I haven't looked at Meta or Microsoft or anything along those lines, but we need these big names to participate in order for these longs to be successful. We know that they have been getting decimated as of late, and then look what happened to the overall market. I talked about Apple and Google this morning as well too, guys. So just using that in reference, and these stocks are not looking good whatsoever. So going to hold on to this until otherwise, if we crack VWAP, then I'm going to get out of Dodge. If we can break through this resistance zone here in the Qs and on Tesla, then I think we'd be able to hit those highs of days, but it's not looking like it right now, Sharif.
RAY coming in here to that buck and 2/3, and that's where we're waiting. We just got the fill there at 63, so let's go ahead and set some profit takers for a bounce up. But this could be trouble. So I've mentioned already the RAY kind of has had a bit of a mixed relationship right now with the volume weighted average price, respecting it at times and disrespecting it at other times. So waiting at 69s and then 75 here on RAY, VWAP retracement. In fact, VWAP and the 10 exponential moving average are all but 1 penny away from each other. So let's see if that adds to the support at this name. So here we go, showing 68s. I'm waiting at 69s and then 70. So a dip trade into the volume weighted average price fills for us on RAY. Let's see if we can get anything out of it. Now, where's my out on this one? Well, I'm going to have to give this to about $1.50 because it's already shown its propensity to dip below VWAP and then retrace right back up. So I'm giving this a little bit of room, maybe against better judgment over here. We'll see if we can get a bit of de-risking on any pops up, and then we can kind of breathe easier a little bit. This one, DWTX, pops right back down into that 1120. Now we're break even on it again, showing me 1150s. We're long 52s. So this one not giving me the fill into 11. In fact, so much so do I like that fill at $11, given how it's been trading, bouncing up off that $11 area. Increased my size there at 1107. But I think this might be like an ill-fated trade if I don't get filled at that $11 area. So maybe I need to move it up a little bit to account for where we're actually bouncing off support, which is at, it seems to be 1120, give or take a couple of pennies there. So yeah, I might adjust that beak wetter. We'll see what we get there. Back to RAY, still showing me 68s. It did pop up into 69s ever so briefly. No fill there though. We'll see if this one wants to defend the volume weighted average price. I'm still watching METC here, with the idea being that it defends generally that $11 area and that VWAP area. Nothing doing on this one now. HSAI as is working its way off that $20 VWAP bounce. It's now $1.30 higher and looking to take out that 22.92 HOD. So that could be an absolutely good one right now if we get this one at the right price. So that's my move right now. Looking at RAY, DWTX. DWTX, though, dipping back into that 20 penny area. So I'm thinking maybe to move up the order right now. That's all I'm looking at. We're involved in a couple of names. Nothing doing really on either. Just looking at the scanner up top to see if there's anything moving and new. And sadly, there isn't. So we're just going to have to deal with what the market gives us today. I'm seeing all sorts of leveraged names like SPCX, SMCL. There's also some others over here with Tesla related. Maybe we'll look at some Chinese ADRs if none of these small cap gappers have continuation to the high side. ADR is very strong of the day as a result of more stimulus coming out of China, Joseph. So if we're looking for strength, maybe there is something in China for us.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at earlier. I seen the ADRs pop up on my scanners this morning as well too. But guys, we're running to these key zones here in the TQs and in Tesla. I want to see if they can break and hold, and then I'm going to add to this position because that's what we want to do. That's the name of the game. We want to try to make these winners as large as possible, okay? So, yeah, here we go, breaking through them right now. This is a positive sign. If we can hold 60, we see the volume start to kick in here on the lower time frames. We might be able to sit pretty here on this trade. But again, all these pops are just getting faded, so be wary. And if you can get any form of move, start taking those profits in. We're not going to get those extensions to the top side, I don't think, guys. You can see what happened in the earlier drives, right? We didn't get the extension. That's okay. I'm going to add to this Tesla right now. I should have been in a little bit earlier, but now we just doubled our position here on TSLA. We're using unrealized gains. Can we continue this momentum? Are we going to construct a lower high, or are we going to go and test a high a day? This is what we got to be patient for and find out. Hold on to the size for as long as we possibly can. My target here in this name is going to be around here, 820 or whatever it may be. So this is what I'm doing. I'm essentially free rolling. Shout out to Obi and Jose. I haven't seen Jose in a while, man. Is Jose here? Yeah, all right, yeah, he's here, my guy Jose. So yeah, that's the game plan. We're in the money on this trade. Now we're going to use our unrealized gains to add more to this position without essentially risking any more. What does that do, though? It doesn't mean you get to keep the same stop loss. You now have tightened your stop, and my stop is in the middle of this range. So if we come back into it, it's not going to be looking too good. So that's all right. Let's see if we can get this breakout running into some key support levels here. If we can punch through this zone, then I think the next target is going to be around 80.20, and that's going to be my target here, guys. So hold on patient as much as we can, and just, yeah, that's it. Bless you, pro day trader. What's going on? Okay, we're coming back into the range. Not so much fun, but that's all right. 229. Good morning, gents. At Sharif. Number 229, is that Tesla 229 or something along those lines you're referring to? There, my guy ADL. I haven't seen you in the chat in a while. I don't know if I seen you last week. So yeah, happy weekend. Hopefully you had a good weekend, my friend. Let's see what we got going on the options chain for Tesla. Right? If we have some high levels of open interest on the call side, then maybe we can get that magnetic effect and slowly climb higher. But what I'm seeing, why'd I type in TSLA? We don't want that. We don't want TSLA, Sharif. We want Tesla. Okay, so let's see what we got cooking up here, guys. 240. All right, March 14th expiration cycle. We do have some open interest there, about 10,000 open contracts. 250 this week as well too, guys, but that also can be acting as a call wall, so a lot of traders can be short from that 250 strike price, and it seems to be the case. Let's see if we got any possible support here. 220, that was showing up yesterday, so that is the highest level. We tapped into that, I believe, in the after hours yesterday, so not looking good. I'm pretty sure on the next pop, I don't want to sell at the lows here, but at the next pop in Tesla, I am going to liquidate that long-term position. I don't want to deal with the stock and what Elon's got going on. When good news comes out in the name, etc., we'll know. We'll be able to identify it through price action here, and that's what I'm going to be patient for and wait. But again, I'm just going to lock lock in whatever unrealized I have at 220 or whatever the next pop may be. Hopefully 235, 240 would be more ideal, and then just get out of that position. In total, holding on to this here, Sharif. So let's see if we can break $8 here on TSLA.
Yes, sir. Makes sense. Makes sense. Good luck. Taking some more profits here on RAY, popped or dropped, excuse me, into 55s added, just took out there some at 60s. It's this one which I'm quite unsure about right now. DWTX is, well, it's not breaking down below 11, but it's definitely straddling 11 with lower highs. So what I'm concerned with right now is a flat bottom break that comes through that $11 area. I've kind of seen this story before where we get these outsized moves only to drop down lower. The outsized moves I'm talking about is this 11.25 defend, and then we pop up into 12, thinking that we've made higher highs above that 11.25 initial pop. So that kind of is the bamboozler there. It kind of gets me interested, and then I don't take out the majority of the position south at 12, and then all of a sudden, now we're putting in lower highs, looking to flat bottom break. I'm going to continue to hold this into $12 because I was able to, or sorry, $11, because I was able to extract substantial amounts here into that 12 pop, but I'm still holding a piece that could get me negative on the day, so got to trade this one carefully. DWTX, multi-day play. This one was on my chart from Friday, and then I come back in today. It's running again. I wasn't sure if it was running yesterday. Probably should have done a little bit of charting there. RAY continuing to hold above that 20 exponential, but south of VWAP. So I was able to take some out here. Next little beak wetter for me is going to be around that 163 area to front run VWAP resistance, which is on my chart anyway at $1.64. So that's what I'm looking at right now. The other small cap gapper that I've really got on my watch list is going to be HSAI. It's a fantastic look to the high side off that $21 VWAP bounce, but I've got no entry on this. The only real entry that I can really think about right now is to take a micro pullback off the 10 exponential moving average on the 5, and then, you know, the bounces there are quite anemic. So I'd like something a bit more substantial to the downside. I'm talking about maybe a $21 retracement to kind of defend this previous area support. Now, ideally, you don't want to make it down all the way back into that, 20.25. You want to make it back into about 21. The reason being is because you want that higher low, right? You don't want to necessarily be fighting with lower highs like I'm doing right now on DWTX. So that's kind of my look on HSAI. Nothing printing on this one. RAY printing up real nice over here to the high side. Where are we long? We're long 54s. Now we just got 63s. How many more shares do I have left? Oh, okay, I've still got a little. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go like this, just to de-risk a little bit. Added substantially at this 154. Now we're long 154s. Let's see if we're able to eke up. DWTX just added me. So finally I got that $11 add, but it's going to have to hold up here. This is where kind of the make or break moment for the trade is, because we're at VWAP. We're at that whole dollar level. We're also at previous price action resistance. So let's see what this one does, Joseph. We're long now 11.17, having added substantially into this position at 11 bucks. What do you got?
Yeah, same thing here. I'm just looking at the overall market to see what we got cooking up, and it's just moving sideways, so not too pretty. Let's zoom out and see what we have on the 15-minute time frame. Are we starting to put in a base to possibly turn around? And if we are, I'd like to see this sideways type price action, right? So you can form that base, you can form support, and then look to get a little bit of a relief rally here. Let's zoom out on a little bit higher time frame. We'll go to the 1 hour, and this downtrend is still fully intact here, guys. So we need to take that into consideration. But what we want to see is a slight, nice rounded bottom or a nice base formed here, consolidative, and then that's when you can get those rebounds, and that's what we're looking for. It's not looking too pretty right now in the TQs, so I'm surprised that we continue to sell, and I'm really curious at what max pain is in the overall market, because look at this. This looks like COVID type price action. I remember when I first started trading in 2022, and we'll zoom back that. We'll go to Adara in 1 second. I just want to finish this. So this is when I started, literally January 1st. I come back from Mexico. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to get rocking and rolling full time here in trading. And then this was my first year, right here, guys. So I guess I was born in the fire, born in the dark, as what they say. And then a nice 2-year bull run. But here we go. You like that saying, from Bane there, Obi, in Batman. But let's see what Adara's up to, guys.
Yeah, just keep an eye on all of these stocks that are associated with autonomous driving or driving in general. So we're talking Uber, Lyft, Google, and Tesla here. Waymo reportedly here expanding access to its robotaxis across Silicon Valley. This headline coming out a couple minutes ago. So Waymo here with expanded Silicon Valley robotaxi access, guys. Back to you.
So yeah, that's the game plan. So you know that saying from Dark Knight where I guess Christian Bale's like, yeah, or Tom Hardy was like, yeah, you only merely adapted the dark. I was born in it. And yeah, I was born in 2022 is when I started, but we're starting to get a little bit of a move here, Shreve, on Tesla. Let's see if we can crack 8 here.
Nice. All right, here we go. We're just adding it to this position right now on this bad boy. Let's see what happens here. We're going to throw out a stop below this area here. There we go. Well, we're probably going to get stopped out any moment on this bad boy, so we'll see what happens on DWTX. This one's doing okay, though. RAY popped up into that $1.66, so that was the best print that I could get, basically, was on that level. We're still south of VWAP, though, on RAY, so this one is causing me a little bit of trouble. Sadly, we did get stopped out on DWTX, so this one ends up being a loser for me. Big move down there, and I added aggressively at that $11 area, so I was actually positive on this one until I added, basically triple the amount that I had initially at that $11 area, really hoping or feeling that it was going to hold up at that volume weighted average price. It doesn't. It's now below price action support and sadly no longer tradable under my system as it's broken down below VWAP. So that flat bottom break doesn't manifest in the aggressive animation that we show often with a flat bottom break going through that support level, but it did end up breaking down quite aggressively. So a bit of a tougher look there. So we'll focus on RAY. Still got some shares on this one. Looking for that $1.69 pop up there. It seems to be finding resistance at $1.68. There we go. We'll take out a $1.70, and now we're waiting at a $1.74. Let's see if this one wants to reclaim VWAP. Still holding some shares on this bad boy. Let's take a little bit more out here. We'll get the print there on RAY. Oh boy, this one, DWTX, looks like a specialist breakdown with 2 bottoming tail candles back to back on this monster, all kind of being bought up aggressively into that $10.50 area. It wasn't an area that I had earmarked as support, so I won't feel bad for getting stopped out there. I added substantially into this one on the way down, so it's not like I didn't give this one the old college try. So we'll give DWTX the fail on there, more like the execution fail rather than the price action fail. I gave this one too much credit at that $11 area, and we ended up paying through the nose for it. So a bit of a tougher look for me. Here we go. Now showing 74s. There we get the print on RAY. Nice pop up there. So about 20 pennies in the money on this $1 some odd name. Let's throw out some more beak wetters because we've got none at the moment. I'll wait at 77s, and then I'll wait at 82. See if we can get a pop up and test that high day at around 93 pennies. I'm talking about RAY, guys. It's the number one small cap gapper in the market right now, trading about 97% higher than it closed yesterday. But it's done a suspicious amount of volume, I would say, for a dollar name. Less than 40 million shares traded so far. So the bottom can drop off at any time, or so it feels. PSTV is making its way back onto the scene over here as a small cap gapper, one that we traded last week or the week before. I recall the ticker, just don't recall the name. So let's throw out the ticker there so you guys can follow along. Shout out to Bovin for pointing this one out. It's got resistance at a $1.75, but it's been putting in a lot of higher lows. So I like this one for the opposite of what we saw on DWTX, which is a flat top break. So you're getting incrementally higher lows. Not a whole lot of respect by PSTV for the volume weighted average price. Again, I use this example often, but it looks like the line of best fit VWAP here, where it kind of goes through the middle of the price action, neither acting as resistance nor support. So use it sparingly and use it with caution. I'm talking about VWAP. There it goes through the high of the day. PSTV taking out that $1.75 into that $1.77. Ample amount of volume on this one. So if you're sizing into this $1 name, you should, underline should be okay. Just started printing volume. I think we just have a little over 15 million shares, with the majority of the volume coming in at around 10 o'clock, but then coming in again right after that 11 a.m. area. Keeps making higher highs every time I look at it. PSTV now at $1.80, so probably one that really needs to replace DWTX here on my side chart or on my trading screen, because DWTX all sorts of breaking down now. No respect at all for price action support. No respect for VWAP. This one is on the way down. It looks like to 10. I'm talking about DWTX. DWTX. What you guys see on your screen, though, is another fantastic looking name, PSTV at that $1.80, $1.75. I'm going to punch into this one kind of like I did with RAY. I'm going to get in at the 10 exponential moving average. There's more respect here for the 10 than there is for VWAP. As I mentioned, VWAP on PSTV kind of looks like the line of best fit. So let's go ahead and not use that. Let's use the 10 exponential. I'm waiting at a $1.71. Let's see if we can get a dip there. Trading right now at a $1.77. Let's go back to RAY. Did we get any prints there? Yep, got that 74 print, but that 77 print on RAY, still an elusive target, still putting in higher lows and higher highs ever since breaching VWAP at 11:30. That 11:35 minute candle has been followed by 3 subsequent candles with higher highs and higher lows. Let's see if we're able to ride this trend, Joseph, up into that 193 area. That's the high of the day.
Yeah, nice look there, my guy. So Diggity in the chat was saying, hey, Joe, we've seen the VIX start to turn around here. That could be a positive sign for the longs. And I'm going to take a look at it from a daily standpoint. And as I say that, the market's starting to pull back in here. So, yeah, I mean, the VIX is starting to pull in as well, too, guys. Now south of 29.50. We put in at that peak there. So I'm waiting for that 810. I'm going to grind this out. Hopefully the VIX can continue to climb lower. That's going to be a positive indicator for us in these longs. But it's just really unfortunate that these grinds are just met by immediate selling. I'm trying to hold for 820. That would put us around the high day here in Tesla, and I want this name to recover. I want to get out of it in the long term. So again, if it comes into fruition, then I'll do so. But again, a nice grind here. Unfortunately, see, the thing is, though, on this game plan, so you know what I'm sticking to. I always somewhat have the same risk to reward, what I'm risking to, and I'm playing the break of the volume-weighted average price. But as we sat above this range, this is where this ad should have been, or significantly sooner at 79er, at 7.9, $7.90, sorry there. But I didn't get it. So I'm going to hold. I got to hold till 820, and if we can crack through that level, then I believe we might be able to go and test the high day. I'm actually not going to partial out any until we hit those targets, or I come back to my break even, and then I'll just get out of the trade and then look to get right back in. All right, so Tom McLean, the negative gamma JPM put wall with the pullback on the VIX makes market makers a fortune in put losses. Okay, that's very interesting. Good. I've looked at. So what cycle are you looking at there, Todd? Because I was looking at JPM as well too to see if there was any outsized levels there, but what I'm seeing is 220 on the out the money side is about 1.4 thousand contracts. I don't know if that's enough. I remember I traded JPM was one of my first options contracts that I ever owned. But again, relative to the rest of the open interest, I am assuming that's what you're looking for. And if we climb any lower here in JPM, that would be a level that you might want to look at a bounce for. But we only got as low as 227.21. So you're just talking about negative. So 230 would be the next level of open interest there on March 31st you're referring to? Okay, let me pull that. Okay, I only see the 28th, so I'll pull up that cycle. And there's a little bit less there. So I'll hop back into this Friday expiration cycle. So what we can have is some possible options pinning as well too here, guys, with that 230 and that 220 strike price. So we'll take that into consideration. I like JPM. I think it's obviously one of the best banks on the planet. And it's just been absolutely walloped here, Shreve, with the fears of recession possibly on the horizon, down 20% as well too. This name might be a buy. We're back right at the November levels, even a little bit farther back because we gapped up on that earnings report. So coming back into last year levels is JPM and a lot of these big financial names. So I like this name. I want to own it for the long term. And then maybe that's what I'm going to do. Once I liquidate this Tesla position, maybe we hop into JPM. Is it the time? I don't know, especially with the tariffs and everything along those lines. We got some big macroeconomic reports coming up this week as well too, guys. So we'll just be keeping an eye out for those, but looking forward to getting out of Tesla.
Yeah, interesting look there. All right, RAY, we taking prints to the high side here, took out 79s. Now I'm waiting at 80s and then 82s. Does seem to be some selling here at 80s. There is some size posted there. A lot of it just got taken out. 81s now printing. Let's see if we can get up into 82s. Can't get to 82s quite yet on this monster. Good look though. Still got some shares on the way. So let's layer our orders above 82s. I'm going to wait at 85s and then 88s on this one. So let's see exactly what we can get on this monster. Good look, good strength, and we'll see if there's good continuity. We're still below the high of the day. Well below actually. printing at $1.75. The high is 193. So ideally, if we do take out the high of the day, it could be a good look. Let's see. We're involved in this one. PSTV, I got in at the 10 exponential, like I said, scalped out into $1.74. Now I'm layering my orders on this one. Let's see if PSTV can continue to put in those higher lows. It's been defending the 10 exponential moving average on the 5 essentially since a quarter after the hour. I'm talking about that 11:15. That was the last time we were actually below the 10 exponential. We were also below VWAP at that time, so it looks like the winds of change came in for that bad boy right around that time. Actually, it had tried to attempt a break of the volume weighted average price unsuccessfully, that is at 10.55, dropped below it, and then was able to kind of pop back up again. So PSTV up 35 and change on the day, but well below the high at $1.81. Let's see if we can scalp out on this one. Already layered my orders to the high side on this monster. Let's go back into RAY. So this one finding resistance at $1.80, and that's not a surprise. Even though we have that topping tail candle that took us into 193, and you know, an analysis of where the actual resistance comes in, I'll submit to you the majority of the resistance is at that $1.80, at most that $1.85. So the fact that we're rejecting 180 is a little bit unsurprising to me right now, but that doesn't mean that we can't take it out. Doesn't mean that the buyers are not going to step in aggressively and push out the shorts to take out that $2 area. Let's find out. We've got quite a bit of room right now between where the price action is and where I got in. So I feel quite comfortable letting it trade at these levels despite the fact that we still got shares on. So let's see what this one's doing. PSTV, bang to the high side. 3 outs on this one. Now we're waiting at $1.79, then above that $1.82. So PSTV continuing to hold that 10 exponential, but as I see this one, it doesn't spend its time in any one level for all that long. I've said this about different small cap gappers in the past. I'm saying it today about PSTV. If you're going to trade this one and you want to be in and out at the levels that you want, not what the price action kind of allows you based on the speed of the tape, put your resting orders out there. That's the only reason I was able to get printed at 77s, because I had a resting order there. I wasn't even looking at the screen. So the next beak wetter is going to be in the high 70s and then low 80s there. So PSTV doing its thing. RAY kind of still hanging up below that $1.80, so nothing for me to talk about there. I see you, Pethic. PSTV again, what I miss. Is there any news? There doesn't need to be, my man. It's a small cap gapper, it runs on momentum. I rarely even look at the news items anymore for these small cap gappers, and I kind of don't care. So we'll continue to watch this one, see if it can pop up any further. Here we go. PSTV now very close to printing me at 79s. We just showed 78s there. The previous high of the 5-minute candle is exactly 78. So I know that there's going to be resistance at 78 there. So that's a bit of an issue, especially since that's a previous candle high. I know for a fact that people were stepping in there with the sell order on PSTV, up 40%. Good luck. Let's see if this one wants to run up a little bit more. Since I've been talking about it so much, let me tell you a little bit about it. PSTV, it's got a 5.19 million share float and basically a negligible short float at about 1%. So not a whole lot to talk about there for this one. So yeah, it looks like we're running aggressively here on the size of the float, that is, because it is quite small at 1.79. So there it is. There we go. Now we get the print at 79s. Good look. Now I'm waiting at 82s on PSTV. We're very close to the high of day. 81 is the high of day. So by definition, throwing my beak wetter profit taker at that 82s necessitates a high of day break. I'm living dangerously today, baby. Let's wait for that 181 break and see if we can take out anything there. So keeping an eye on the scanner up top. Nothing to my liking right now, except for HSAI. It continues to incrementally make those higher highs and higher lows off that VWAP dip. And so silly was I for not punching in on this one. This was before the start of the show, and I kind of have a habit of not taking positions until the show starts, but this one should have been an exception to the rule because it was a great setup. So many consolidation areas on this one that I would feel super comfortable taking this one as a long below VWAP. Look at this consolidation area here at 18.5 on decent volume. That was a pre-market high. And then look at this consolidation area here at $20 on monster volume. And then we got an even nicer consolidation area at a more predictable level, I would say, at that volume weighted average price with a double bottom there at 121, and that's where I failed to get in. I will look to do better next time. Bang to the high side. On PSTV, we take out the high day, so we get that 182 print. So we're still holding on to shares on this one. So I'm going to wait at 185 now. And then above that, I'm going to wait at 188. So if we continue to move up here, you better believe I'll be extracting profits, but my out will be the break of my entry, which is at $1.71, Joseph.
Yep. Let's see what we got going on here. I want to go over these IBIT trades that I had in the morning as well, too. It was sitting pretty just below R3 in the pre-market sessions when I ran my scan this morning. But you can see that I got extremely aggressive waiting for this break of the high day here. So we entered here, right? So we got in right here, added to the position, added again. And then as soon as we broke the volume weighted average price and I didn't see any relative strength on the time of sales, then I just got out at the break even. I'm like, oh, okay, we hold this level. We had the inability to construct a new low. So I'm like, let me get right back in. Again, rejects VWAP. Then this one I actually take a loss on. And then here we go. We put in this double bottom here on IBIT. I enter, and then I enter again heavily, and then we get stopped out. So 0 for 3, and it looks like we might break out here in IBIT, and we are currently, but I've taken my 3 stabs at it, and I don't want to take any more, all right? That's my game plan forward. 3 shots. And why am I limiting myself to 3 trades, right? Even though something is working? Because I have data to back it. Usually if I'm correct within my first 1 to 3 tries, and then the accuracy rate drops drastically north of 3 attempts. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I took too many attempts on the TQs yesterday, didn't work out. So I'm just going back to what the statistics tell me. And that says north of 3, you're not as accurate, Joseph. So that's it, 3 attempts. On IBIT, now looking like we're rejecting the top of this range as the overall market slowly starts to pull back in. I'm glad that I got out of TSLA because we are now heading back towards the volume weighted average price, but that is that a 3 attempt rule. And not necessarily for winning trades. If things are winning, you're 3 for 3 or something along those lines, but you're not getting that extended move, take that 4th trade. Keep those risk parameters tight. But if you go like 1 break even and then you take 2 losses, for me, that's 3 attempts. That's no go. And I didn't catch the bottom here on IBIT either. And I wasn't looking for it. There wasn't anything overly definitive in order for me to be like, hey, I need to take this long other than this outstanding volume signature. And you get this engulfing candle, but there was no indecision candle print, price action print. And then for me, that's not a part of my setup. So that's that, guys. And that's just sticking to rules, basic risk management, and even account management and risk management, all right? So that's something that I'm glad that I worked on today, and let's see where it takes us. It's going to work out or it's not, and if IBIT decides that it wants to trade higher, then I'm not going to complain about it. We're about 3%. We were down 10% on yesterday's session, but that's okay because there will always be another opportunity. So let's take a look at TSLA and see what we had going on here. Just going back to the fact of free rolling positions, and that's what we did here on both of our entries, okay? So you can see we were in earlier on the day, working, we broke through this resistance zone, add to the position, and then that's when we start to take out partial. So I just doubled the risk right there. And the same thing on this name, break through the resistance, we add nice little consolidation phase, but we couldn't construct and we couldn't hit that 820. So when we come back into that break-even range, I'm going to get out and see if we can find something for a better price. And if I can get in right at a VWAP and I see some indecision prints, then I'll do so, all right? But I right now, going to sit on my hands, going to hold my horses to see what's coming up. We do have some of the big names trading above the volume-weighted average price, but the Qs are weak here, Sri.
All right, man. PSTV continues to make higher highs. We just took out 88s. High day 89s now. Back into the 70s we go. The print at 93s is going unfilled, but let me tell you, my out will be the break of the 10 exponential moving average. So here we go. We're coming quite close into my entry, and I'm going to flatten out here. If we get anything below that 68 print, we're long 71s. Out the majority of the position, but it's going to have to hold at the 10. It's shown its propensity to hold the 10. So if it doesn't hold the 10 here, I don't want to fight this and then DCA into this in the same manner that I did with DWTX. Negative on that name. Don't want to do that with PSTV. Unlikely to go negative at all here on PSTV, given how many shares we've taken out versus how many we have left. But it is defending that 10 exponential for now. Underline that for now. So it does dip in to the 10 after making that high at 189, and then bounce back up. So I'll leave my out exactly where it is for the moment. This one, Ray, we take out, what did we take out there? 81s, right back down into a little bit higher than my entry right now, showing me 57s. I'm long 54s. This one's holding the 20. Now, this has had an interesting relationship right now with the 20, a bit of a bizarre one right now. Not that, these small cap gappers respect the 20 exponential moving average all that much, but there are these outlying cases where they do. Here's the case. So we kind of almost get into the 20 right there. We're not at the 10. We're not at VWAP. So I'm more inclined to believe we held up at the 20. We kind of did the same. That was a 3-candle hold up from 1030 to about 1045. We kind of did the same thing right over here at 1130, a 3-candle hold up at the 20 and then retrace back up. Now we're doing it again. But where it looks like we might break that $0.50. Now I've had to give my stop below the $0.50 here, knowing that the $0.50 could be an area of support on these small cap gappers. We're showing 54s. That's where I'm long. I'm looking for this to kind of do the same thing it's done before with the 20 exponential and find buyers that move it back up. I don't like it enough to add into this position. I don't know if it's going to continue to move up, especially since the previous high that we just put in is technically a lower high. So the high of the day right now is $1.93, but our last attempt to take out those highs fell short at $1.81. So it's not a glowing endorsement for me that the higher high and the higher low situation is intact. Right? We've got the higher low situation intact for now. We certainly don't have the higher high situation though, because this one failed to break that $1.93. So RAY in focus is going to have to hold up at these areas. So PSTV, RAY, I know I keep saying the same stocks over again, but they're the ones that are doing well. So we're going to keep talking about them until they don't do well anymore. So we'll keep an eye on that. Still holding up here, RAY. Let's see what else is moving. I didn't get my VWAP retracement, sadly, on Moderna. So the best it could do was move up into that 33 2/3. I was waiting more along the lines of 34 or 33 high 80s. We did have this area of a prolonged consolidation as a top for whatever reason at 33 1/3. That was not the area I earmarked, hence I did not get into the trade there, and I don't feel bad about it. I had to have my area, a specific area that I liked. I'm not going to punch in willy-nilly, and that was at the VWAP retracement. And the reason was, well, it had shown you it was inclined to pop into VWAP on the retracements upward. So the fact that it didn't this time, well, we just try to put the odds in our favor. What I'm talking about is big move down right at 930. We find a little bit of support. We get into VWAP. We reject. We attempt moving back up again at 10 o'clock with a big, nice candle there from up 33.40 all the way up to about 34.25. So almost $1, about 80 pennies. And then we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle red retracement to the downside. So I was expecting something to come to VWAP again. None came, and that is all good. So involved in these bad boys, not much else to talk about other than HSAI. I don't think this alert here at VWAP is kind of really relevant anymore. Given how this one trades, I think I'll probably have advanced notice of it if it does come back into that $21 area. It's kind of thickly traded, especially since the volume dropped off, kind of funny enough, right at 11 o'clock, right when we started the show. Looks like the algo's turned off there. So HSAI, definitely in focus, but not at these levels. Pay is an interesting one. So I don't like typically taking these off areas unless they're the 10 or VWAP. In this case, I like this $30 area here on PAY. And the reason is it was kind of the consolidation area top for the initial bull flag. Like we may not get a second bull flag here. It doesn't look like this one. There's enough momentum to the high side, but we definitely got an initial bull flag off that 930 pop, then sideways consolidation. And then you could tell we were rejecting $30 over and over, basically from 955 to when we broke through it at 11. So an hour of $30 acting as an area of resistance. So having said all that, now that we got up to 31.13 HOD, if we do drop back down into 30, I could certainly be persuaded to add and continue to add into the volume weighted average price, which is at a little bit higher than 29.50. This one's shown you its propensity to respect these moving averages and to continue to put in higher highs and higher lows. So PAY up 24.33%. I could be an adder here at 30 all the way defending into about 29.5. Adara, what's up?
So much is happening right now, so we're going to talk about it here for a moment, guys. We're down on the day here on the S&P 500 and on the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ almost flat on the day, but I think what's really interesting here, if you saw on the sector watch, yesterday what happened was we had a lot of weakness in the market, significant weakness in the market, but a lot of sectors were actually green. Now, today is actually the opposite. We're only slightly weak in the market, but almost all of these sectors are getting hit pretty aggressively. So it's a really different look here for all of these names. There are some names that are still strong, and this one is NFLX Netflix here, up about 3%, no catalyst, but it's been quite sold off over the last few days. There also is a catalyst here that's just coming through here with Microsoft reportedly open to deploying natural gas with carbon capture technology to power some AI data centers. So carbon-related AI story here for MSFT, as reported by CNBC. We're going to send you back to the guys in just a moment. Just be aware here, no more economic data necessarily on the day. However, we do have after the close now, it looks like it's going to be coming through at 5 p.m. We are going to be having Trump's business roundtable. Then at 1 p.m. here, so during the day, we're going to be getting a note auction, the 3-year note auction, and also have a new post here at X for TTV Research. These 45 tickers are the only green names on the NASDAQ year to date as of yesterday's close. So less than half of the NASDAQ here is actually green on the year. Meta's the only green Mag 7 name, and even then they're almost flat here. Palantir, one of the year's biggest winners earlier, also almost flat in the year. So if you want to take a look at this graphic, check it out on X at TTV Research. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Adair. I mean, yeah, Sharif, I don't know how you feel about this, but I tend to find that usually a couple days leading into CPI and PPI, you get this choppy type price action. And I guess sellers are somewhat, I don't want to say they're exhausted, but they were in full effect yesterday. So you need new participants to continuously step in here. So yeah, I'm going to wait for these prints here, these macro prints. So we got consumer price index on Wednesday, and then we have CPI, core PPI on Thursday. So that will bring some more volatility to the market. And that's exactly what I think we need, is a little bit more stability and maybe some more volatility here, as the VIX was spiking as high as 30 yesterday. I was watching it. So yeah, interesting stuff. Looking forward to that. I'm not shocked at this sideways type price action, and we haven't capitulated, which is, I guess, a positive sign for the bulls. But if the bears, like Big Spala Burdette, are enjoying it, then yeah, that's just what I'm going to wait for. I expect this to kind of trade sideways for the remainder of the day. If we break 765, then I'm going to get out of this trade. And then there might be some more potential downside in this market here, Sharif.
Yes, sir. Mr. C, thank you very much for the $4.99 super chat, my man. I can cover one of these for you. ELF. So ELF, yeah, a bit of a tougher look, obviously, since this double top that kind of manifested there in the early to late part of, or early to mid 2024. I'm talking about that February high into 220. We attempted it again in June and in May and again in July of last year. So a gnarly looking double top there into 220. The neckline I perceive to be in and around that 160 to 150 area, kind of give or take there, with the blood coming subsequent to that. What I love about this pattern was once we broke that 150, 160 neckline that I perceive to be the neckline of the double top, look what happened when we got to that 100. We popped up. We bounced off 100, obviously, because it's that $100 level. But lo and behold, we make that 150 attempt to retest previous area support, now resistance on ELF. So it's a fantastic looking move down. Obviously not fantastic if you're involved in this name in the long term, but that's the way the beast is. If you don't like the price action of these stocks and the volatility that comes with it, this is not for you. Probably find something else to do. So $60 looks like got defended there a few times, 64, maybe low 60s at around 61, possibly on the 4th of March. This one is below all the moving averages here. I mean, it's below the 20, it's below the 10. I've got nothing good to say about this other than it's a possible short candidate into the pops. So ELF, I especially like it as a short at $100. That's about, you know, almost $25, a little bit more, $28 from today's high. But if you're looking at the local area high, it really is around $78, $80. If you get above $80, then I'd be setting an alert out for a short at $100. That's obviously, you know, taking into consideration nothing fundamental has changed with the company. So that's my look on ELF, an ugly chart, but, you know, possibly maybe some moves here back to the high side for a 25 buck winner, maybe at that $100 area. I won't be involved in this name, obviously, but wishing you the best on it. ELF, an ugly looking chart off that 220 double top from last year. Guys, I got stopped at a Ray for the remaining amount there. Feeling awfully silly. I mean, I had my stop below the $1.45 that moved it up to kind of shadow the price action, thinking that we were definitely going to hold that 150 area. We did not, so I got stopped out at a $1.49. Now it's all the way back up into that $1.64, popping into that $1.70. So yeah, we execute okay on this, but give back a little bit over here as it does stop me out through that $1.50. So RAY still in play though. It's still, you know, trying to hold up above VWAP. We'll see. The area of importance for me here on Ray is that $1.80. It's shown a whole lot of selling, a whole lot of resistance at the $1.80 area, despite the fact that the high of the day is that $1.93. So if we can get above that $1.80, I am definitely interested. So much so, I will throw an alert at that $1.80 level so that I'm notified if we are able to take it out. This one, well, no, other way. Here we go. PSTV also got stopped out of the remaining amount for this one. This one I don't feel as bad having been stopped out of this one because this one gave up a critical level. I'm talking about VWAP. I'm talking about that 10 exponential as well. So definitely couldn't hold this one against me all that much. We were long 171, got stopped out 164 for the remaining amount. So far, we have the best print on the day up at that 189 area. We'll see if this one can get back above and start putting, you know, those higher lows. Now, I perceive this one still to be kind of doing that higher low situation, especially if you're basing your area lows at, you know, this $1.46, and then we're a little bit higher at that $1.55. Now the higher low is at that $1.60. So technically, you're still putting in those higher lows. You're no longer at a moving average. You're no longer at VWAP. You're not at price action support. You're having to rely on this upward trend line, which I feel a whole lot less confident in, since it's just a random manifestation that I threw onto the chart. So keep an eye on PSTV, see if it wants to head into the high side. Yeah, shout out to you, Mr. C, for that. Got nothing else, guys. HSAI is coming down a little bit, though. So that one was one I was focused on. I'm kind of happy it's not continuing up here. Looking for that $21 dip. I could certainly be persuaded to maybe front run it at 21.25 and work my way into that $21 area. HSAI has been a strong one on the day, up 38%. And change, was up higher at that $23 area, but coming down a little bit right now. RAY is not done either. But again, as I mentioned, I'm looking for that $1.80 area there on RAY. Let's flip to the MAG, see what the MAG is up to on the day. I really haven't had a look to see what the MAG is doing. Let's bring in eSignal and look at some of these MAG 7 names in addition to Uber and Netflix. Who looks the best and who looks poop? Let's have a look. So Meta, a little bit below VWAP right now at that 604 area. Yeah, it's kind of putting in a bit of a compression pattern with lower highs, but also higher lows. Softies decidedly breaking down now below VWAP after using said VWAP at that 382 area as an area support. Bamboozles everybody by making that higher high into 386, and then all the hell broke loose to the downside. We are now trying to hold on for dear life at 380. We just wicked below it right now. So Softy looking at giving up the ghost. Google already gave up the ghost, breaking down. In fact, Google is using VWAP as an area of resistance. You can kind of gauge that, except for the opening range print, obviously, into that 9:30 to 10 a.m. area. It's more volatile when the trade slowed down, specifically at 11:40. We did reject VWAP. We are holding, though, for whatever reason, this 163 and a half low. That was the low that we held yesterday, I believe, into 11 a.m. It came into fruition several times into the, I want to say the afternoon session, and as well in the aftermarket session. We also dipped down into that 163, 164 area. So we'll have to see if that flat bottom gives way on Google. Amazon kind of doing the same, a bit of a similar look here to Softy, where it pops up well above VWAP, tries to take that 200 Bezos shelf, and now we're on our way down well below the volume weighted average price at $1.97, and looking to take out the morning low there at 195. That's looks like it's incoming fast and furious right now. dropping down into 195. So AMZ and Apple absolutely getting shellacked, breaking down below 220. Apple now taking out this area low here that we printed at around 10 a.m., which was around 220. We're giving up the ghost now, guys. 219.5 Apple, well below that 220 area. Tesla as well. Tesla and Amazon look very much similar, where they have these skewed double tops, with the opening range top being higher than this last attempt. So Tesla's opening range high there at 236, the best it could do during the later time in the day is 232. Now we're down at 226 at the volume weighted average price. So Tesla definitely getting a push down. It's Nvidia here is the only one that I can see on my side charts that's actually above the volume weighted average price, and it may not be that way for long. Here comes Nvidia into that 108.5. That's where VWAP is. It really hasn't respected, though, VWAP on the day. It's been awfully volatile with that 111 high and that, wow, and that 104.75 low. It's kind of somewhere in between now at around 108. We'll see if Nvidia can kind of hold up. It's really the Netflix story, though, guys. I got to tell you, Netflix is having itself a fantastic day. It obviously got shellacked with much of the market yesterday, but today it's it's definitely above VWAP, and it's a lot closer to the highs than it is to the lows. It's hard to trade because of its price. It's trying to attempt a 900 break there. The best it did on the day was that 902 1/3. So NFLX, not a bad look right there. It's really Netflix, Meta, that look okay. Tesla is still technically up on the day, 2%. So is Nvidia, up 1.5. But the chart patterns, I don't know. I don't know about that. We'll keep an eye out on that. Nvidia is defending that VWAP area, though. So that's an interesting look right now. We got a 3 or 4 candle hold up here on the 5 at VWAP. So it's about 15 minutes we've been defending this 108 1/3 area. I wonder if anybody's buying Nvidia at this volume weighted average price. Kind of an interesting area to have to price action defend, especially since you're not really seeing that on many of the other names. So that's a look at the mag right there, guys. Let me know what you guys are trading in the chat today. I'll be looking at these small cap gappers, but every now and then we'll have a look at the mag, Joseph.
Yeah, so I was looking at Apple not too long ago either. On the daily, Gore, I've mentioned this as well, that we're running into some key support levels. I talked about it this morning during the little option segment. It's not going to be looking for those two, good for those two big names, Google and Apple. They're both heavily invested in each other, with Google amounting to about 25% of Apple's service revenue, with Chrome being the primary search engine of the iPhone. So take that into consideration. Maybe it's not too good of a look for these big cap tech names, because it doesn't seem that Donald's administration wants to go any easier on them than the previous one. So let's see what's going on with Tesla. We got out of that trade. I want to grab the bottoms here because we are running into some support. So I'll hold that off, and it's a good risk to reward as well too, guys, because we have a base of around $7.60, but I think that train is gone. I do like the 5-minute indecision candle on TSLA and Tesla, so that might hold off as well too. Unfortunately, this signature did not, and we breached it to the downside. So any form of pullback here, and if we can hold this range around $7.65, I'll look to get involved in Tesla once again. And if I'm wrong on it, then that's okay. I still have a couple more stabs on this name. I was correct on it, but 219 and heading south here is Apple. One thing to note is that extreme volume candle coming into the downside here, guys. So that can just be more sustained. This could be igniting as we run through some key support levels. What do I do when I see that? Us continuing to sell, I look at the options chain. What is the next level here on Apple? This expiration cycle, we're sitting at $210, guys. So that'd be another 8-point drop here in some of these big names. Not going to be good for the overall market. So yeah, we're just going to have to find some relative strength or look to join it. I know Sandra in the chat was saying, Joe, I took that bear call spread on Apple this morning, and she's pretty much collected the majority of the premium that she can, around 40% or so, which isn't necessarily the majority, but a high level of it, and on day one. So I would personally look to close that contract if you collect 40% of the full premium received. There's no point in holding on to it for the remainder of the 3 days and for the remainder of this session as well too, just in case something decides it wants to squeeze, but it does not look like it wants to, continuing to the south side, gapping down as well too. So not a good look here on AAPL, guys. We're looking for the bottoming signals in this market. I like this 5-minute signature here on Tesla. We might look to get involved. Let's see what everybody else in the chat is up to and what you guys are looking at. So 5-minute inverse head and shoulders on what, Thomas Tesla, maybe possibly. rapidly. I see what you're looking at. 220 was a major put wall for negative gamma flip, says Pug Life. Yeah, and that's what I was looking at there. So you can see that put wall on AAPL. We're gonna hop into some Tesla on the retest here. If we can pull back a little bit and hold this base, then that's where I'll look to get in around that $7.70. But I want a better price, obviously, than my first entry. Third time's a charm. Inverse head and shoulders possibly as well too. But we're gonna go over some of the top performing stocks. 191 million shares traded here on NVDA in the session, 102 million on Tesla, and still slightly bleeding, but holding up relatively well, especially after that 13% loss. Yesterday, Soxel with 88 million, and then TQs with 80 million as well. Going to top sector performance, we don't have a single green sector here, guys. Everything in the red. We got the tech sector, the best performing, and we're still negative 6/10. Energy sector sitting in second place, negative 6/10. And the utilities in third place, they're down 1%. So not a good look. Consumer staples sitting in third last, down about 1.3%. Healthcare down about 1.4%. And then the industrials down about 1.6% there, guys. So not a single green sector. There may be some individual green names, but the overall sectors are not performing very well today. And understandably so, you can see that we're down closer to 13-14% in the overall market, which is a nice haircut here. So not too good of a look at the lows, 13.39%. And look, we had these levels marked out from before, guys, and then now we're just running into them and respecting them. I didn't do that just now. We had them previously marked out, and I mentioned this might be the next level here around that $450 target. That's going to put us around a 15 to 16% retracement here. It's closer to 17. So again, a pretty not the best haircut. That would have put us at September of 24 levels. And then, yeah, continuing on with that. So waiting for this bounce, waiting for this oversold bounce. As of right now, price action is not telling us that we're going to get that, but we're just going to be patient. Possible bottoming signal here in AAPL. I like this hammer at the lows here as we engulf on the volume signatures. Let's see if we can get a bounce here in AAPL.
All right, I'm looking at HSAI. It's been defending $22 for a while, so we'll keep looking at this one to see if we can get that 22 bounce and a possible bigger move up. It's been a while since we've been below 22 at around 11.10, give or take, was the time we took that $22 level. So let's see if it comes back down. It's certainly got selling at 22. 22 and yeah, 22 and a half, 22 and 2/3. It's been a range. Here we go. Looking at taking that 22 and a half. I'm not going to punch in at these highs. I will insist that this one dip in to a more reasonable support level before I get involved on this bad boy. It's got a 4-penny spread, which isn't that bad for a $20 some odd name, up 40%. Let's talk about the details on this one, since we're going to have likely we're going to try to take a trade on it. So HSAI got a float of around 73 1/3 million shares. Not much to say in the way of a short float, though, either, about 1.5%. So not much doing here. You don't really have the ingredients for kind of a good look for this one. But this one was an earnings, looks like an earnings winner yesterday. They reported March 10th in the post market, and they're up nicely today. So that's likely the reason we're running up, not as a result of a smaller float or a larger short float. So that's okay. That kind of puts up the kibosh on some of my plans there, as we likely won't have a parabolic move to the high side. This one as well is keeping an eye on, let's try to load this monster over here, EXK. So this one, it's got a lot of support at this 4 1/5, 4 1/4 area, with the high of the day being 433. I was thinking possibly to punch in at that 4 1/4. It's just not giving me enough for it to be worth it. I don't have to, nurse this trade or have to worry about this trade when the range essentially is 13 or 15 pennies. That is just not going to cut it for me on this one. So yeah, I want to mention it because it's a good look. It's a big move up and a consolidation sideways, defending that 4 1/5, that 4 1/4 level. It is being respected, but that's about all good that I can say about this one. Otherwise, you're not really getting much in the way of a high side move. So that's the situation. We're going to continue to wait here on HSAI to defend that $22 area. It did pop up into 50s, but true to form, like it's been doing all day, when it moves into that 22 and a half, it does find a bit of a sell. So that we'll take advantage of, hopefully, and then we'll get printed at that $22 area. Maybe you don't have to wait that long. Now dipping down into about 22 1/3 right now. So HSAI AI, not a bad look. I see SMCI is up big, which is not a bad look on this one either. Let's talk about it and let's see how we could possibly trade SMCI up 7%. So been obviously a bit of a down move lately on SMCI, but let's look at it, more from an intraday perspective. Definitely a seller at 40. You don't got to be a chartered market technician to see that. The implied balance high rejects 40, then we work our way up, and the high of the day is 39.99. Surprise, surprise. So we'll see if this one wants to take out 40. I personally like it at that 50 exponential. Now, it didn't defend VWAP. It didn't defend the 10 or the 20. The only area that I can say it actually met price action support was either the pre-market high at around 37.50. We kind of topped out there all morning and then attempted it again at 8 a.m. Never to be able to take 37.50. Lo and behold, we get up to 40, come back down, and then we test that exact 37.50 level. So it might not be the 50 exponential, which is the red line on my chart that we found support at here between 10.25 and 10.50, but it might be that price action support from the pre-market at that 37.50, which found its support. So I will wait and I will have an alert on SMCI at around 38.75. That's VWAP. If it doesn't respect VWAP, I'll be looking to that 38.50. 38 2/3 area where the 50 exponential is hanging out. If we can get a higher low there, this might be an interesting long on SMCI. Even if you don't break that 40, if you get long 38 2/3, 38 1/4, 38 1/2, just making the assumption that you get back into that 40 or 39.99 technically and don't even take it out, well, that's a good $1.50, $1.25, $1.33 winner, depending on where you got in. So SMCI, not a bad idea right now at that VWAP, at that 50 exponential. I'm talking about that 38.75, 38.50 area. We'll have to see if that comes to fruition. But if you're looking for a long, well, this one might be one of them because it's definitely bucking the trend today, up 7%, much like Netflix is as well. Netflix, I mentioned earlier, up almost 4%, above that $900 level right now. So it's also bucking the trend. So keep your eye out on those. If you're long, if you're insistent on long or your brokerage, if you don't have a margin account to be able to short with, whatever your reason, if you can't get short on the day and you're looking for longs, look for relative strength on names that are definitely bucking the trend. I'll submit to you Netflix, one of those names, SMCI, one of those names, and in general, I haven't looked at them recently, but in general, Chinese ADRs are also bucking the trend today with XPEV, BABA, and the like, all decidedly strong on the back of that Chinese stimulus coming out of, you guessed it, China. XPEV up 13 2/3%, NEO 10%, Zeekr 12 3/4, Li Auto definitely underperforming the bunch, 6.5%. Then you got like JD, Baidu, PDD that are, all around 1% or lower. BABA definitely bucking the trend as well, 4% for the monster BABA. And then you've got a bunch of innocuous names that a lot of people don't really know about, so we're not going to mention them, Joseph.
Yes, buckshot here on some of these trends. We can't just break through this resistance here. It's really fade the pop here in some of these names, guys. So not a good look. And we have some big macro data coming up in the next 2 days as well. So take that into consideration. You can see that the Qs are moving sideways. And one thing that you need to take in, is the fact that, hey, volatility is up, right? So our sideways price movement, the eastward price movement, is going to be in a wider range as well too. You can see that we're trading in this $10 range, but we've essentially gone nowhere. Okay, we haven't gone anywhere. We're just hovering around the volume weighted average price. You fade the tops, you buy the bottoms, and you just look to range trade in this aspect until you break out, until you see that volume really start to kick in. I think that we're going to continue to be eastbound here in the overall market. So we need some of these big names to break out, and then that's when the overall market is going to start to participate. And then at that point, we might have the ability to sit on top of the volume weighted average price. But I mentioned again, tomorrow we have, I believe it's CPI, and then it might be PPI tomorrow, and then CPI Thursday, I believe, or in whatever order. But again, that's going to bring some more volatility into the market. So make sure that you have those stops in place if you're swinging or whatever it may be, or even sit on your hands until those report come out, and then you will be able to gauge sentiment from that standpoint as well too. So being patient in this overall market, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're a long bias trader like myself, there's nothing wrong with sitting on your hands for a while and wait for those news events, those positive catalysts. Eventually something positive will come into the works and help drag this market up. It's just the fact that we have to wait until it comes out, and it may take longer than what we assume it will, and it usually is the case, right? Like you gotta look at it like this. So if you have a strong company, you expect them to rebound relatively quick, but if they have the DOJ after them, they're thinking about breaking up Google Chrome. You have to divest from that. You also have a quarter of your service revenue coming from one company, with Google giving you $22 billion in 22, and then now they're not going to be able to do that. Then it's going to take a big hit. Look at AMD. AMD from those highs at 225. Has not even come close to recovering. I don't even remember the last time I traded this name. It's been months, as a matter of fact. And now we're just hovering around 96, whatever it may be. But we put in an all-time high in March of 24. Literally, almost, I think, a year ago, this week, or a year ago Sunday, is when AMD put in that all-time high at 226 and hasn't even come relatively close. And the fact that if you think that it's going to go back to those levels, if we've been trading to the southeast for over a year, how long is it going to take us to recoup and double this stock? Right? That's what we say, the stairs up, escalator down. I don't see anything positive coming out of this name. Hopefully you're not bag holding. But 133% from where we're currently at. And that's saying, hey, we're not going to go any lower. So it's a tough look here in AMD. And these guys were supposed to be number 2 in the AI race. And look what's happening to this name. So not too good of a look there on AMD, Sharif.
Yeah, man. Nothing doing for me over here. There's nothing going on in my world. We're just going to keep waiting for HSAI to come in to that $32 level. Otherwise, I'm not taking any trades. So if you got anything you want me to look at for you guys, throw it in the chat. I'll do some TA for you. If you're looking at swinging something, you're looking at getting into something long-term and you want some levels, maybe throw that in the chat. Otherwise, I got nothing on that I like, and I won't be trading until I like something. So throw that. F-Cell says all swans. Wow, that's a blast from the past. Fuel Cell, I remember this one during the pandemic. Is it even still on the NASDAQ? It is. Okay, probably one of the umpteen reverse splits that it probably had. Yeah, there you go, baby. Right there. That's why I was thinking that November 4th big boy reverse split. But it doesn't change the chart pattern, guys. It's still down and to the right. So Fuel Cell, obviously one of those names that's involved in, you guessed it, clean energy. Let me just throw that on there. So give you the details on it. So there are baseload energy platform solutions through fuel cell technology, obviously hydrogen. Yep, they have the hydrolyzer, just like kind of Plug Power and Nikola were trying to do. So it's a bit of a tougher look. Clearly, guys, you know, definitely looking at those. This is the weekly chart. These are the pandemic highs when this thing was running from like 80. This is all not split adjusted, mind you. It wasn't that price back then. We were kind of holding that, I want to say that $100 area, and we popped up all the way up into almost $900, all the way back down. It's never really broken the downtrend pattern of lower lows and lower highs. So there's not much good to say. Sorry about that, about F-Cell. It's going to need something else. Obviously, what they're doing is not working, and it's going into the market right now the way that we are. You kind of feel like these more speculative names may get beat up even more. So I don't know if this would be a good entry on FSL. I don't know if you're holding this from before or what your situation is. Bit of a tougher look there. I do apologize. Naveen wants me to look at Dash. Let's have a look at DoorDash. All right, that's a much better looking chart. This is the weekly. Let's flip. Oh, wow. That's a hell of a nice rounded bottom there on Dash. So this is on the weekly, guys. Okay, I did not have a look at that. Let's do a bit more TA here on a more nuanced basis. So where's the neckline, would you say? $200 definitely yells at me in terms of the neckline area, despite the fact that we broke above it. So the 2-week hold at the neckline, above the neckline there is not a bad look, with the second week being red. Obviously, I do like these bottoming tail candles into that $1.70, showing you that buyers do like this. So we're probably holding that higher low. Let's flip to the daily now. On Dash, yeah, not a bad looking chart at all on Dash. It's just kind of hard to tell you good entries at these levels, but I do like it at this 170, no question about it. Look at this 165 defend. Generally, it looks like it is defending that 50 exponential, or was at this moment, or at from this area over here, which was December 18th to when it broke above it, January 16th. Sadly, you're below that now. You're below the 50 exponential, trading at about $183, well off the lows though. 175.95 is a low, so almost $10 worth of range today on Dash. Still an inside candle ensconced by yesterday's price action, but that $1.70 looks like it's defending well. You have two bottoming tail candles off that $1.70 on the daily, and you have it on the weekly, so that extends us from last week. So I do like that. In addition, you have this $1.70 defend from earlier in the year and late last year. So I do like Dash here at a $1.70, but again, it's going to be really dependent on the overall market. If the overall market starts moving down, that $1.70 level won't matter, and you're going to have to deal with these losses. Now, keep your eye out on the 200 as well. If the retracements get a bit deeper, since we gave up the ghost at the 50, the next level I'm looking at is going to be that $1.60 area. That's the 200 exponential, and it's shown you its propensity to respect the 200 exponential, essentially from all the way from May 1st of 2024 until we broke above it in August. So kind of did hover around the 200 exponential for a while. So you can kind of call this Wyckoff's accumulation there, where you had a prolonged area of sideways action, and then you started making higher highs and higher lows. We'll see if that continues. Let's see what Scott Tomlinson, no ticker there. Vinny Vici, I just mentioned Netflix up to $900, up 3.86%. So not a bad look there. I'm in Marvell. Let's have a look at MRVL. See what that one is up to. This is the daily on Marvell. Clearly, it's been suffering much like the overall chip sector has been suffering. That $1.30 almost got into a $1.30. Multiple rejections into that high 120s, like 126, 125, 127, and then all the way back down here below the 50. Below the 200, and the only thing kind of keeping you up here is price action support. You have a prolonged period of defending here at the $65 area. That takes us all the way back into January of last year. And before January of last year, we were using 65 as resistance. So this is an important area here for Marvell. Now, you have this outsized area, but we all know what that outsized area is. That dip below, that is Black Monday, the unwind of the yen carry trade back in early August. So I kind of look at this area over here with a bit of skepticism and look more to the previous areas and subsequent areas, all of which defended 65. So I do like $65 here on Marvell. But again, I want to caveat all that by saying that I don't know how I feel if you have an overall market correction. This is all predicated upon, healthy retracements and the continuation of a bull market. I don't know if that is the case anymore, and I'm going to make my case why. So Donald Trump kind of was elected to bring down the debt, get government spending under control after 4 years of shenanigans. Having done all that, he started off by trying to get the spending under control, and that's what the whole thing about Doge is. But that's not the only thing usurping government funds. The prohibitive interest rate that they have to pay on their current debt vis-a-vis the higher yields on the treasuries, 4% on the 10, I think it's 3.9 now on the 3, 3.8 on the 2. The point is, I think, given what Scott Bessent has said in previous interviews and what seems to be the market manifestation, is that the Trump administration is going to focus on the bond market. And the reason they're going to focus on the bond market is because bond prices are inversely correlated to bond yields. When bond prices go up, bond yields go down. Why is that relevant to government debt? Well, they got to service that debt, and the amount of money or the amount of debt that they issued the past 4 years to fund, 5 years, I should say, to fund government spending means that they've accrued a whole lot of debt payable at very high interest rates. So if they focus on the bond market, they're able to pay down. It's like you having a car loan at 8.99%. And then you go to your car loan company and you say, well, look, rates have come down. You either bring down my interest rate or I'm just going to go somewhere else and have someone finance it for me at a cheaper price since it's an open loan. You're trying to bring down your monthly payment on your debt, which is your car loan. That's essentially what the US government is trying to do. They're trying to bring down their interest rate on their debt vis-a-vis treasuries and bonds. And the way to do that is to make sure that bond prices go up again because they're inversely correlated with bond yields. If you have that kind of situation, then there is a good chance that money funnels out of the equity markets into the bond markets. In addition to that, you have the Europeans now wanting to fund the war in Ukraine to fill the void put in by the Americans. As a result, they're also issuing, the Europeans that is, new treasuries, new government debt. What has happened as a result of that? Yields for European treasuries has gone up. That means people are selling those bonds. Well, where's that money going to go? Is it going to stay in the sidelines like Berkshire Hathaway and stay in cash? Most likely not. Most likely will find its way into the US bond market. If that happens, then you don't have that money going into the US equity market. The whole point of this little spiel is to tell you that we really need to consider this kind of preconceived notion that Donald Trump is fixated on the stock market. It may be different this time around in Trump 2.0. He may be fixated on the bond market. And if that's the case, it's trouble for equities. Spiel done.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, we got into this Tesla here, guys. We got the pop, but then it just faded right back into the break even. So we didn't want to make a winning trade, a losing one. We added to this position. So you can see I got stopped out here, but then I wanted to add in this area, but the tape wasn't telling me to do so. So I'm like, all right, I'll just hold on to what I currently have. And then I just added another half there. But unfortunately, we just came right back, sold into the volume weighted average price, constructing another lower high on the day. So if we were to draw our trend lines here, to see where we're going on, we're just continuously rejecting them. So you got to pay attention to them and you have to respect them, especially in this market environment. You got to sell these pops, and especially running into resistance zones, there's no buyer stepping in to push us through those zones. So you got to look at the tape and look to fade those pops. And it seems to be the case. I should have took a little bit more out here, only took out 10% or so. And then now we're heading back to the south side. So yeah, the Qs, again, doing the same thing that I mentioned before in that downward trend, constructing those lower highs there. So yeah, a tougher look here. Let's see if we can form somewhat of a base and a flat bottom at these key levels so we have multiple touches. But again, if we come into this area, we need to be very, very patient and see how price reacts around here, okay? So we are forming this shelf. It looks like it wants to head back into this range here, guys. And if it does, look for a potential bounce at that 468. Now, speaking of the Qs, let's see what we got going on the options chain to see if there is any definitive support and resistance levels. Any levels of open interest that we want to look at to be like, hey, we're going to bounce here. So we see that 470 has about 9,000 open contracts. And if I were to go down the chain, 468 is that next level. And then 465. Okay, so we got 7,000 open contracts at 468 strike, and then 6,000 open contracts at that 465 strike. Are we going to go to those levels? I don't know. You got to get through the first one to get to the next. So let's see if 470 can hold up here in the overall market. Jimmy Donnelly, now is a good time to get a cheaper entry on VZ. You referring to that? Yeah, I know you were trading that for the past couple of days. I can take a look at VZ to see what it is up to. And see if this, oh, okay, yeah. So, Jimmy, a little bit of a tough look here, my friend. So giving back a lot of this move that we put up here in the past couple sessions, actually giving it all back here, Jimmy. If you think this is a good time to entry, then I hear you. Obi even mentioned this morning, XLC, the communication sector is actually performing pretty well. And I think it's being led by Verizon and AT&T, I think possibly, but we'll pull up XLC because we know that Google and Meta are not trading very well, but not looking good either on the daily. It is still hovering hovering around those highs. Oh, wow, okay, we'll eat those words really quick. So let's see from a percentage metric how much we are down. 9%, okay? So being led to the downside by the likes of Google and Meta there, guys. Okay, so here we go. We're getting that squeeze here in Tesla. I'm out of this trade now. We put in another 1-minute doji, looking to run into this resistance zone. Let's see if we can crack through this level. I missed my entry now, and I'm not going to chase it. The only reason I would get out here is to try to find a better entry price, but it doesn't seem to be the case. It's now gone without me. So these pullbacks are relatively deep. You can see on the 5-minute time frame that we are moving to the east. So I'm going to look for that to sustain. We got a flat bottom here and lower highs on Tesla. So we're going to need to crack through that level and this resistance zones with volume in order to break through and continue to the northeast, Sharif.
All right, keeping an eye here on HSAI. Did come in at 22. Sadly, didn't get filled. It didn't come down low enough. I think I was waiting at 5. I think it came down into 6s. Let me just verify that. 7. So we missed it by a couple of pennies there. HSAI, it's been locked in a good range here for the better part, I want to say, of a few hours now, with 22.5 being the high end of the range and 22 being the low end of the range. All the while knowing full well that the area support over here is $21. $21 is VWAP. So if it drops below 22, I'm not going to hold it, quite frankly, because there's a big chasm between price action support at 22 and technical support at 21. So we're gonna let this order fill. I'm going to let it fill. If it does come down, knowing full well that it's going to be a very tight trade, it will have to hold the area. I will not be DCing into $21 on this. So let's go ahead and throw out the out for this one. I will give it to kind of like the 80s or something like that. Let's go just like that. And then we're going to see exactly how many shares we've punched an order for on this one. So there we go. We got it filled. Now we know exactly how many we got. So yeah, so we'll throw that out there. Let's see if this one wants to hold. So we're long at 05. So let's go ahead and set up here some beak wetters for a move up and see what comes of this trade. HSAI, strong name on the day, but we already know the market is kind of a little weak, and that could put the kibosh on the trade. So we'll find out exactly what it's all going to be like very, very shortly. All right, I'm long here, RAY. This did take out the high of the day there into 193. Sorry, it didn't take out the high of the day. That's still 193 that we popped into at 11:15, but it's above 180, and there was a whole lot of resistance at that 180 area. Here we go. We're long 89s, showing me 94s. I'm waiting at 96s, so essentially what I'm looking for is a test of $2. Now, if we get a rejection of that $2 area, I won't be surprised, but we're going to give this one the old college try. Let's see if we can get a move up. We already got a print there at 93s. Now I'm waiting at 96s, showing me 95s now on RAY. We were trading this one earlier, much to my disappointment, because, you know, I kind of got, what's it called? Stopped out. That's the word I'm looking for, at bottom wick. So I had my entry. I had my trade. You know, we executed on it okay, but maybe this moving up of the stop was not the best idea. So that's what I'm keeping an eye on now. Let's go back to HSAI. We get a pop up there. We take the print. Now I'm waiting at 20s. It's showing me 12. So there we go. We take all the levels out there. Good trade on HSAI. Let's hang out a little bit higher now. We're going to wait at 29s. See if we can get anything there. Where we long? We're 05s. Okay, not a bad look. So HSAI, a very clear over and over and over again, $22 defend. Let's see if this one continues to work out. RAY coming down aggressively, though, into that $1.70 area. Let's see if it holds up at the volume weighted average price. Oh boy, good thing it took it out there. Right back down into VWAP it goes, Joseph. This one is rejecting that high of the day area, but all the while still putting in higher lows, still putting in that higher low area. So if you were to draw a trend line, each successive low a little bit higher than its predecessor. Let's see if this one pops back up.
All right, then. All right, you got a little something cooking up there. Bang. We'll put the bang up there. Okay, so guys, this is what I was referring to, guys. You can see this downtrend line, right? And then we run right into it. We couldn't even crack this previous high, and then we just flushed to the downside in Tesla. So we went higher for a couple of minutes, and then we just flushed it, engulfing that whole range that we traded 3 minutes higher, gone in 1 minute. So 4 minutes it took to climb, and then it was all essentially all gone in 1 minute. So yeah, it's a little bit tougher of a look. My good buddy Greg V and I were talking the other day, and we're just just like, yeah, man, it's really hard, especially like the velocity of this was just so quick, and it's like, okay, you're just waiting for that oversold bounce in the overall market and in some of the names in your long term. But at what point did you really have a chance to get out? If you broke through the support, maybe you could hold on to that, but then you get somewhat of a bounce the next day here as we crack through, but then acting as prior resistance, and then now just heading to the south side. We have levels marked out here. I do believe that 450 is in the works, especially with the trajectory that we are currently on there, guys. So tough look here in the market. That is fast and furious. What day was this here in July? What happened there in July? Because that was a 15% correction in the overall market, and now we're sitting at like 13. Do you remember what happened that day, Sharif?
Sorry?
In July here in the market?
That was the top. That was
just a regular top. There was like no specific, it wasn't like that. Yeah, 16% there. So yeah, I mean, on no news, but the thing is that we recovered half decently quick here in a couple of months, and then we constructed a new high, and then we just moved sideways. So yeah, tough look. But one thing to note here, guys, that we can be like, hey, we found the bottom, is that look at this volume. So you can see as we head on this descent, you get that standout volume that says, hey, this is stopping volume, we're ready to turn things around, and we don't necessarily see that just yet here in the overall market. You can see that's an engulfing green candle, but we still have red prints all the way down here, and then we're not even getting bid back up. So what I'm thinking, this is my game plan here, guys. You can confirm or whatever it may be, but this is what I'm thinking is going to happen. We can continue to sell, maybe run into a little bit lower, we'll head into the high 60s, mid 60s, but then we get a bounce into 508, which would be really nice, and then you reject it again. So something that was acting as support on a larger scale, we're gonna act as possible resistance and head lower. And with this retest, I'm going to be getting out of everything. It may take significant amount of time, but that's okay. I wanna refer to Apple on the daily as well. Guys, we're at October of 23 levels. October of 23. Oh, sorry, that's AMD. Sorry, guys. Yeah, well, that's still not a good look. Apple here. So here, running into this base, key support level. We know that what's going on with them and Google. We break through it. That's not going to be a good look. What is the next target? South of 200. Well, first we'll go to this one here first, around 214, right? We'll mark out that level at 214, and then we have this as well too, right? So 196, we crack both these levels. This is the next target you're going to be potentially looking at. But let's see what Adair's up to, guys. There you go.
Let's put out a new infographic here on X. Check this out at TTV Research, featuring one of the men we've talked about the most here in the world and certainly in the market. This is a very beleaguered looking Elon Musk staring at this price action on Tesla. So what I wanted to do here, because I just discovered this morning, as of yesterday's close, Tesla is the weakest name on the SPY year to date. 2025. So weakest name on the SPY as of yesterday's close. So I want to take a look here at its performance again, down about 40% year to date and in a 3-month and 1-month basis. So we're still up on the year and we're basically flat in a 6-month period. So that is Tesla here on a variety of performance metrics. Interesting graphic if you want to check that out on X at TTV Research. Back to you.
He looks stressed out in that picture there, Adara. So a good choice there. What do you got going on, Tree?
Nothing. Keeping my eye on Ray, so I've got my planned DCA on this one at $1.64. That's probably the wrong level now because I see it's $1.65. So I'm going to move that one up when I have the opportunity to. We're long 77s. I've layered my orders for a pop back up. This one's shown me its propensity to kind of put in higher lows. What I'm looking for here is a flat top break. So we've got that $1.85, $1.90. Well, I want to say more of a $1.85, $1.80. That's been acting as a local area of resistance. All the while, though, it's been putting in these higher lows. So in the exact opposite way, when we see lower highs with that area defend to support, now we call that a flat bottom break. I'm looking for this one to flat top break. Now, we might not get that on a day where, you know, there isn't that much aggressive buying. So I may need to be a bit more or less ambitious, I should say, with where I expect the areas to pop into. At least, though, I'm looking for a test of 2. The best we've done on this on the day is a $1.93. I have hard time believing that we can actually get into that $2 to test it. So I'm layering my orders As you can see there in the high 195s, we'll see if we get them. We got another higher low just now. We dipped down into that volume weighted average price at $1.70. We continue to put in that higher low. Took the print there at $1.82. Now we'll wait for that next print if we can get it at $1.84. RAY is kind of the strongest name on the day. I mean, I don't know any other stronger name. That's above $1 right now, up 105%. Again, though, I hate to keep saying this, though. Be careful on a day like this, because when you feel the chart pattern is setting up really well, the price action is good, the volume is good, the book doesn't have too much in the way of sellers at specific levels, and you've got all you want in terms of ingredients. The main ingredient, though, market sentiment, right? That's kind of the main thing that you need to really be attuned to. If the market sentiment is negative, then getting those parabolic moves up becomes much less likely. And so you need to become much more reasonable, much more, less ambitious with where you're gauging this price might get to. So that's what I'm trying to think right now, keeping my mind on this one. RAY, the only one I'm involved with right now. It's the only one that's setting up well and worth involving myself with. HSAI, it came right back into my entry, and I said, I'm not going to do this with on a day where the market's super negative. I'm getting out flat on this one. I did well, believe it or not. We actually took almost 40 pennies to the high there, but it did drop back quick as you like. So that's the situation. RAY, taking out all my levels there, right into 185. Please, as dang punch with this. Let's throw out some more orders on this bad boy. We're going to throw up 86s and then 90s. And the reason I'm going to throw up there, even though we've broken up above the level, as I've mentioned, 80, 85, it's been a hard row ho on this one. So if it happened once, it probably happens again. Throw your orders, be reasonable with your beak wetters. Now it's showing me 84s. I'm waiting right now at 86s and 88s. 86 is showing up on the ask. It's got a cross for me to get filled. So we'll pack our patience there, see if we can get the movement up. There it is. Now we get that. Now we're waiting at 88s, showing me 88s on the ask. Still not getting filled, though. It's got a cross. There it is. We get the fill again. So nice move here on RAY. Let's see if this one wants to test, though. That 193, we've been below 193 literally all freaking day. Okay, since we put in that top at 11:15, it's 12:55. You think it would test it? Maybe not. Maybe we got to wait for that power hour when the big boys come back on. But I'm happy with how I traded this one. The only thing that I really could have done better on is stop placement with respect to this area out over here. In addition to that, since I was waxing poetic about the higher lows and the possible flat top break, why oh why was I not adding into the retracements of this upper trend line? Let me make my case. So this is what I perceive Ray to be doing, putting in higher lows, right? So I've drawn a little bit of a trend line there, and for the most part, it's respected that trend line. So then why was I not adding on the retracements? So that's what I could have done better if I really had to choose something, was to basically be a bit more aggressive with the ads. And, that's basically... I don't think I would have traded it any different other than being more aggressive with the ads. Here we are. We're at the high of the day right now. We're boom. There we go. We take out all the levels there. Very happy with this trade on RAY. We just printed 198 high a day. Now I'm going to wait at 205s. Let's see if we can take out two. It made sense that we actually break above $2. We haven't quite yet. Now the high of the day is 2. I'm going to wait at 211, actually. So I only got one more out on this one. I don't mind refreshing the position. Let's see if it drops back down into that $1.75. I'll be an adder there if it doesn't take out that $2 level quick as you like, though. I'm going to wait at the lofty level of 211, so it's going to have to clear 2 by some distance for me to get printed on this one. Otherwise, I'll hold on to my position and I'll look to add. If it comes back down to that $1.70, $1.65, that's where he's been putting higher lows. Let's see what comes with this one, Joe.
I'm in this trade. I'm in this Tesla again, looking for the break of the volume-weighted average price. I was just confirming on multiple charts to see if we had, if I can confirm this volume signature here, and then it just blows right past it. So not even respecting it whatsoever. Going to get out of this trade here again. Was looking to go a little bit heavier because I like the conviction within that setup, but we just went past it to the downside. So that's it. We got a short. So SPY is coming into some key support levels as well too, guys. So not a good look here in the overall market. Breaking through them here at 554 is that level on the S&P. Breaking through it now, trading at 553. So ugly levels there, guys. Let's see what we got going on the options chain from that standpoint to see if we have any form of a base. to play a bounce off of, or we were just going to have to play the continuation to the downside. 550. So yeah, it looks like we're going to head to 550 on today's expiration cycle there, guys. So 0 DTE, 550 with 12,500 open contracts. We're net traded as low as 550.361. Going to be some more downside in the market, says the options chain. So yeah, here we go from peak to the bottom here, guys. 10%, so that's not even that hefty of a pullback, but it just doesn't look very pretty from a technical standpoint. Trading in a range, you got to go wider stop, less shares here, and just give yourself some breathing room because the volatility is quite intense. The VIX is up again, so we're probably north of 2790. We did tap into 2830 on the VIX. So not a good look there. Heightened volatility running through some key support resistance levels. Here you can see from a daily standpoint and just blowing through that. So going back to December 17th, which I'm pretty sure that was a Fed rate decision day right here, guys. So there it is, heading back into that rate decision type volatility. And then this was August, so that was that yen carry trade. So I don't think we go all the way back up to 65. You need pretty much a big event. These events have only happened a handful of times in the VIX when we spike up over 80%, about 4 times. And then after that event, you do get that all-time high in the market, but I don't see it hitting it anytime soon. Let's see what Adair is up to.
Just be aware here, we're going to be getting here in about 15 seconds the 3-year note auction. We're likely not to get this result right away, but it is worth noting that the market will be processing it right about now. So we're waiting here. I'll put up the market that's just NVIDIA. We have the market here on watch as we await the 3-year note auction. When I see these results, if they move anything, I'll let you guys know, but they're not always going to be market moving. It is worth, though, being aware that that auction is occurring, guys. Back to you.
Thank you, Adair, for that one. Yeah, we're just moving sideways, so I'm going to look to buy the bottom of this range here on the TQs. If it holds up around 468, I mentioned that we might tap into 550 on the SPY as well, too. So just be aware and make sure that you have those stops in place just in case it drags down the Qs and some of these other names with it, Sharif.
All right, man. I'm really quite pleased here with RAY. Popped up into my beak wetter at 212. Top wick, and then it drops right back down to 2. Here's the deal, though. Does it now use this 190 area as an area support? So it was rejecting off it to no end essentially all morning, as we talked about that $1.93 acting as that area resistance. It clears it by some distance now up into 214, technically the high on RAY. Do we use previous price action resistance as support? So there's no specific level. I want to say $1.85 to $1.95. The reason I say that is because sometimes we were rejecting off that 180, 190, 185 area, and then we had that 193 high of the day. So right now we're right above $2 again. So it kind of feels like the dips below $2 are being bought up. I don't want to give back too much on this trade, especially, with the bamboozlement of these small cap gappers being a real and ever-present danger. Maybe the money fill here is in the low 90s with a break maybe below that mid 80s area as an out. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to wait here. Let's go 196s, give or take. We're going to throw a small order over here at that mid 90s, and then I don't mind adding into 190. In fact, I don't even mind adding into about 185. But that's going to be the line in the sand, and it's going to be for small share size here. It's just about executing the right way on this. Once it clears a level, does it then hold the level? And if it does, what am I looking for specifically? Here we go, showing me 96s. I'm waiting at 97s. There we go, 96 is still no print. Now we get the print. Let's see what we do here, though. I'm not going to be DCing aggressively into this. It's going to have to decide what it wants to be when it grows up. We're long 96s. Let's wet the beak there. All right, now we're moving up. So let's wet the beak there. We're going to wait at 205s right now. And then above that, we're going to wait at 209s to front run these 10 penny areas. Let's see if that area was the right area. Boom, we get the fill. Let's see if we can move up a little bit more right now. So seller at 05s of note, no size posted on the gateways. You can kind of see that. So we know we got a hidden seller right now at 04 and 05s. Look at that. There's no size here at 04s. Look how much we're rejecting. We take them out momentarily. They reinstitute their position. Now we're dealing with the seller at 05. Again, no posted bids there. 07s now. So we're moving up incrementally here on RAY. Do we get a break of that 214 HOD? We've definitely got hidden sellers at every level. I'm talking about 04s, 5s, 6s, 7s, hidden sellers everywhere here on RAY. No size posted on the bid, and I literally have every gateway that we do have here at Real Trading, so shout out to them. And so I'd be able to see it. It's not like I'm without gateways on this. So we're going to continue to watch here. RAY, good strength. It's up 133% in a market that's awfully negative on the day. It is a small cap gapper, so this marches to the beat of its own drum. I will be getting out if it breaks 194. So let's go ahead and do that. We're going to go like this, and we're going to look to defend that area where we got in. We either get printed to the high side, or I will not get printed. Simple as that. So we're going to wait over here. Let's see if we can take out the high of the day. I will be waiting at 18. So we're either going to get stopped out below that 195 area, or I'll print at 218. Let's see which one comes first. But good strength today for RAY. Here we go, showing me 9s now, and another hidden seller at 9s. Look at the amount of sell orders above $2. It's not at that 201, not at just at that 202, but they're layering their sell orders 10 pennies higher than that whole dollar area. That's a whole lot of aggressive shorting that's taking place at these levels, and I won't be convinced it's profit taking. It's not the way you profit take. You don't layer hidden orders at every penny. So I'm kind of the opinion that the shorts are battling with the longs right here at this $2 level. We'll have to see who has more commitment, conviction, and money to push this either up or down. RAY, Joseph, up 133.
Yeah, well, that looks pretty good there compared to the rest of the market, Sharif. Trading higher. So, yeah, good look there. We got stopped out of this Tesla, now breaking through some support levels, heading more downside, guys. So, yeah, tough look. We're going to do the Playmaker poll here. Sharif, you ready for this, my guy?
Sure.
All right, let's tap in here. Thank you to BVB for reminding us. What is our entry price? I got
553.78.
78. All right. And
are we long or short today?
We're long today, my friend.
Oh, wow. So we're taking profits at 555.
Oh, wow.
75.
Oh, 570. You say they will put in. Yeah. All right, we're in there, and
then we're getting stopped out 552.
552. 75. All right, there we go. We're in at 105 there, guys. There is the Playmaker. We're going long today. We hit a 2-to-1 with Adara yesterday, Sharif.
Hey.
So good look there. Documenting this. I got to catch up on some stuff. I'm going to be doing that this evening. So there it is. We're locked in. We're going long here on the SPY as we run into some support levels here, Sharif. So I don't know how good this can be, but if we're going to play anything, we want to play these zones. We want to be able to buy at support and sell at resistance in this current market environment. The thing is, the selling at resistance has come drastically better into play, especially on the names of Tesla and some of these heavy cap tech names. We know the Nas is heavy weighted tech, so really, really tough look. We're going to look for some signs of strength, but when I went over the top performing sectors, you can see that everything was in the red. So what do I got to do? I might have to transition to some of these small caps here, Sharif, because I don't see any charts like the one you just showed me on Ray or whatever it may be here in the S&P and on the Nas. So yeah, being patient, running through this support level. I wouldn't be surprised if we get another test, but let's see what Adara's up to.
Just keep an eye here on Microsoft. It's basically near today's lows. This is an interesting catalyst, though, not necessarily for today, but something to be aware of. OpenAI apparently launching new tools for developers to build agents. We know that agentic AI has kind of been the next frontier, so keep an eye here on Microsoft. Might also be worth it to keep an eye on something like CRM, which also has its own agentic AI type plays, guys. So OpenAI launching new development tools for building agents. Back to you.
For that, Adara, looks like Bava still has a severed artery here, guys, bleeding to the downside. These Chinese ADRs were performing significantly better than the S&P, so I was looking for some relative strength. But here we go, continuing to bleed, about to run into some key support levels as well, too. But we're not going to get too worried about this because it's not too hefty of a pullback. We're still hovering around these highs, so maybe we're just going to have a couple inside days. fill this gap here, consolidate within this range, and then hopefully it can take another leg to the top side. Sharif was talking about that stimulus coming into full effect, and it looks like it has here in Alibaba, KWeb, and FXI.
Yeah, fantastic look for these ADRs today. We just took it out there on Ray at 18s. Very happy with this trade. Good move up here on RAY. I'm even happier with the add because that's where I've always kind of lacked in the past. I don't add into winning positions, especially when they come into technical areas of support. I was talking about this $2 area acting as an area of support once it got cleared. That's exactly what it's done for now. Underline that for now. These are small cap gappers, and the winds of change can come awfully quick on them. So for now, it is a 218 high a day on RAY. I submit to you, though, it's using 2 now as a level of support. And if you looked at the 5-minute candle setup, each successive 5-minute candle has a higher high and a higher low above its predecessor. Well, not necessarily higher highs, but definitely higher lows. With this candle, this doji candle here being a candle of indecision, I'm talking about essentially from 1250 onwards, it's been higher low, higher low, higher low, and higher low. So you're getting that continuity. You're getting that consistency in the chart pattern, in the candlestick pattern. So right now, we're talking about this 190, 195 area being a flat top break. And you're not getting the aggression of the flat top break like sometimes we see with the flat bottom breaks, but that's because stocks go down a little bit faster than they go up. Joseph said this earlier. They take the escalator up and the elevator down. That's kind of the old adage on here on the floor. And so don't expect that $2 break to act in the same way as maybe like a 150 break here would have been if we got the flat bottom break on RAY. Doesn't mean, though, that it won't continue to trend up, just not in a parabolic fashion, at least not today. At least doesn't feel like it today. So it's up 144%, which is definitely the best looking name that I've seen on the day, and far away, too. I mean, the number one gapper right now on my scanner is RAY. It's up 147%. Second to that, literally second to that, is DWTX, up 28.5% since the bell rung. Okay. Now, obviously, you can find some higher percentage winners on the day, but not since the bell rung. And that's all we want to know about. How has it been doing since that bell rung? I don't really care about what it did from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. or to 4 a.m. to 9:30, right? We definitely want to see strength in regular market hours. RAY is giving you that. It's at the day high right now. It's at 219. We're done this trade. I don't mind adding, though, if it comes back down into a predictable level. There it goes again. Now up into 2.25, 223 high a day on RAY. Just about how we set up next on this. So last time we took that $2 area defend with the money fill being at the $1.95. Now, what's the next trade here? I mean, as Obi likes to say, is it 205? Do I got to wait for 2? Or do I got to punch in at highs? Or do I look at previous candle low? So what I mean by that is, so if you're of the theory that we're going to continue to put in higher lows, maybe not necessarily higher highs, because you might have a candle or two or of indecision like this one, but if you're going to put in higher lows, then front run the previous area low. Here's what I mean. So right now we're trading at 222. And we're in this current 5-minute candle, right? The one at 110. This is the previous 5-minute candle, that 105. Well, what's the area low there? The area low is exactly $2. So you would front run that 203, 205 to basically take advantage of the candlestick pattern that we got right now of higher lows above each successive candle. It's not foolproof. I mean, you're not going to make higher lows forever and ever more. It will be a time where that trend breaks. It's not about that. It's about putting the odds on your side, right? That's kind of what we're doing here. We can't really see the future. We can just try to put them or put ourselves in the best statistical position that we're able to. So RAY, I'll be looking to get in likely at that $2 area. Again, for smaller size, though, because I don't want to be giving anything back. Shout out to Big Spy. I was just talking to him there in the chat. And he sent me some messages on the gram. Looks like you're doing real well, Big Spile, on your area shorts. Obviously, we're wishing you the best. And to be able to kind of fulfill your dreams there, I know you were just telling me some stuff about that. Kill it, my man. Make the money while you can. Take it and run, baby. Shout out to Big Spile.
Yeah, take it and run is right, Sharif. If you can get any form of pop in this market, just get out and don't look back. Don't regret it. If it continues to move higher, that's just bonus round at this point. So looking like Los Polios just said, hey, Joe, look at NVDA. It's going to pop. I'm like, oh, it's popping. What happens? It fades right back into the level it just was. I'm looking for a potential bottom here on TSLA. What happens? We get a little pop, just fades right back in. So am I going to play the break of this support? Maybe, but what I want to do is I want to try to short the top of this range here. So I'm going to be a little bit more patient. All you can do is just put on a smile and hope for the best, I guess, if you're looking for the longs, because they're not really coming too into play. It looks like it wants to head a little bit more south. I mentioned that we might run into 550 today on the spot. We have high levels of open interest. All right, here I go. Let's get this pop out. If we break the support level here on the Tesla, that is going to be the final try. That means we would have taken 3 losses on it, but we went 3. So we'll go 3 for 6 essentially at that point. Still slightly red on the day, but nothing that we can recover if the market decides it wants to pick a specific direction, or I can catch the top of a range and sell it. So let's see what Big Smile says. Unrealized is just a fugazi. Okay, well, all right, not a lot of sense there, Kyle, but that's okay. Yeah, it's a day trader's market. It is. The volatility is here, but I'm cool with low volatility and just northeast trajectory, right? I like that. I don't necessarily need to go through these ups and downs of anything to have a good time or be a day trader, to be exact, but the volatility is here, but we are, again, moving in a sideways market. TSLA still positive. That will put Tesla about at 1.8% on the day, and some of these other big names are you in Tesla, Katina, man?
Amazon long 195.
He's in Amazon long 195. Let's see what's up with the Zonian here. Take a stroll down the river and see what we're going on. 195, so about 23 cents in the money. Really strong opening drive here. I know he was involved in this name around just before 11 o'clock, I think it was, and just playing the tops and the bottoms of this. But you can see this 5-minute opening range, a nice indecision candle. One thing that I'm noticing, if you have this hammer in the pre-market, look for it to hold, and then you can get these nice genuine moves. You can see that this is essentially as good as it gets from a bullish standpoint candle. You have that 5-minute opening range break, the hold of key support levels. You punch through the pre-market high as well too, right at that 5-minute opening range, and then that momentum is sustained throughout that until we tap into about $200. So good look there on Amazon. Let's see if it can recover one of the stronger Mag 7s here, Sharif.
Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on some of these cybersecurity names. I don't know why they're really strong today, but the fact of the matter is they are strong. So let's have a look at CRWD, very strong name, up 6 and change on the day. Here we go, CRWD. So CrowdStrike, good look for it today. Let's just scroll down on the side. We're up, we were up 6%, 5.88 now on CRWD. This is also coming into an interesting area here, 326, 325. You have price action support at 326. Sorry, price action previous resistance. Let's look for it to be support. I'm talking about the top end of this bull flag over here, with VWAP being that 325. You also have Palo Alto Networks about 1 or 2.5% and change. This one definitely not as strong, but coming into a predictable area here at the $178. That's where VWAP is. I'll submit to you though, we broke down below price action support, previously resistance. I'm talking about that 178.50, 179 area. I perceive that to be the top end of the range. It did really hold up there, and then down we go into that kind of $178 area. If I was to trade one of these cybersecurity names today, likely would be CrowdStrike. Just because it's respecting price action support a little bit better than PanDub. I like this at 327 low with 326s at best. The money fills may be in the 326s. You might have to wait though to that 325 to come into that volume weighted average price. You haven't gotten that though, but what you have been getting is consecutively lower lows and lower highs since we put in that top at about 334 and a third. So it's a bit of a downward channel now, but into a predictable area. I really like this here look on CrowdStrike if it holds up here. Now, I don't know if this has been moving with the market. I'd have to overlap this with the NQ and the ES to see what the situation is. But the point is, I like this whole kind of bull flag consolidation area top into high 326s, 327s. It's there right now. Let's see if it holds up. What's up, Adara?
There's a little bit of potential context here for that move in cybersecurity, Sharif. So I mentioned this catalyst. It came out right as we flipped over to the midday, more or less. But basically, the information reporting that Google and Anthropic are discussing some AI data security deals with companies like Snowflake and Databricks. Snowflake specifically talking to Google about potentially making Gemini models available for customers for building AI applications. So we do have some AI-related catalysts here for Snowflake, I guess Databricks as well with regards to cybersecurity. That's the only catalyst that I could think of for these names. I just wanted to mention that. Back to you.
Yeah, good luck there. Did you want to finish something there?
Yeah, with respect to crowd, yeah, that's all I got to say really about crowd there. Now, obviously, having said all that, you're gonna have to deal with the price of this one, the spread. So make sure you are comfortable with that, right? It's a lot easier to trade something when it's a lot cheaper. You don't take as much of a hit. Usually the spreads are a bit tighter, so the cost of doing business drops a little bit. The cost of doing business here is going to be a lot more. Because I haven't looked at the spread, but I can just tell you from history, it is quite wide. So up 6 1/4 right now is up much higher. I don't know, this is probably 8%, maybe even 9 at the highs there, 334.37. We're back down to 328. Good look right now for CRWD. Let's see if it continues. Back to RAY, and this trade popped up all the way exactly into 233. So we got a 233 high of day. Lo and behold, we're coming back down into that $2 level again. Now, it acted as support before. Does it act as support this time? I'm talking about $2. The 10 exponential, maybe a couple of pennies below that $2 area. So it's been respecting the 10 exponential, as I mentioned, since basically reclaiming it after that consolidated phase at around 12.15. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a buyer here at $2. I don't mind a deeper retracement, possibly into that $1.75. And that way, it will continue to hold the trend. The trend is this white, let me thicken it up over here so you guys can see it a little bit better. This trend line that we've been drawing, that's been basically connecting all the price action lows. I mean, we got away from it over here. We got away from it over here. So it stands to reason we get away from it over here, and if the pattern is to continue, then we come back down, we test that $1.85 or wherever the trend line is at the time given relative to the price action. So I don't want to be quick to buy off $2. Again, I get it. It's an interesting price action support, but I happen to like this trend line. It seems to be respecting it a bit more than price action. So I'll wait for a $1.85, a $1.80. But it's really going to have to hold this trend line here for me to stay interested. So RAY, we've had multiple trades on it today. I'll continue trading it until it tells me that it's no longer tradable. That usually means it's dropped below VWAP. So keep an eye out on that. PAY. So we talked about RAY. PAY is one that I've had on the side chart literally all day and said very little about because it's been doing nothing. Now it is at a very interesting area over here. Now, the volume's light on this one, okay? Is this halted? What the? Just double check here. What the hell's going on? No, it's not. So I'm not sure what the hell's going on. Why isn't it updating? PAY. So let's take out BTAI and we'll throw PAY because it's not updating. All right, whatever. Maybe that's just the way it is. So anyway, okay, so this one looks like it's very spready. That's why it's not moving. It's at a very interesting area. It's price action support over here. This 29 3/4. That was kind of the top end of the bull flag. We made a big move up from 930. We found some consolidation before we made higher highs. That consolidation area top looks to be about between 29 3/4 to $30. We're at that level right now. In addition to that being price action resistance initially, now let's see if it's support. You also came into the volume weighted average price. VWAP is the white line on my chart at 29 3/4. Let's see if this one holds up there. I'm unlikely to trade it just given the spread, but if you are looking for a predictable level on a retracement on a strong name, it's up 21 1/5 right now. This might be the one. I won't be quick jumping into this one, but I'll keep an eye on it. PAY at VWAP up 21 1/5, Joseph.
Yeah, here goes, literally the minute I jump into TQs to look for the hold on the base, Apple takes another leg down and then just starts absolutely tanking. So got to pop out of this one already, guys, and I just hopped in. So yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, so that's it. I'm not going to try any more of those. Yeah, really tough session, to be honest with you. Yeah, not a good one. Tough game, but that's all right. We'll figure something out. What am I in? TSLA. Just sell everything. Yeah, it seems to be the narrative. I think that's it for me. Yeah, broken through that support there, guys. Gonna hop out of this trade as we break through all of these support levels and then continue to move to the south side. So, yeah, it is what it is. Can't cry over spilt milk. As you said, there are huge buy puts at 550 level. Does usually hit such levels if a big put or call? Yeah, it does. And the SPY is heading towards them. Look for a bounce around that 550 level, even just a little bit north of that. So I'll be chilling out for the remainder. Couldn't get anything really cooking up here on Tesla. So you can see that we had this nice trade earlier in the session. That worked out. That was our best one on the day. Holding up through this consolidation phase and then punching out as we climb higher, and then we get stopped out break even. That's okay. Another attempt worked out, take some break even, attempt another one, stop out. Yeah, so that's it for that on TSLL. No more attempts for me throughout the session there, guys. So yeah, gonna be chilling out, chilling, taking a look at what you guys. Don't sleep on Neo, says King. All right, let's take a look at Neo. I'm telling you guys, I'm hungry. I don't know what you guys tell me in the chat. What did you guys have for lunch? We didn't have the what's for lunch segment, so I'm curious to what all you guys in the chat were eating for lunch. I know what I'm thinking I'm gonna have, especially when I get home this evening. Some nice steak fajitas. We're big steak fajita people, big Mexican cuisine, and neither of us are from Mexico, but we love all the Latin America. And here we go. Market continuing to climb lower here, guys. Let me know what you guys had for lunch or planning for dinner, because I'm curious, and maybe you'll give me some good ideas. Because you know, when you're in the gym all the time, you got to eat rice, you got to eat chicken. Sharif eats eggs every morning, and rightfully so. But once in a while, I like to switch it up. So let me know what you guys had. So we had some ramen in the chat. No eggs, says Dwyer. Okay, that's it. That's all we got so far. Taco Tuesday. It is Tuesday. Tacos. We're leaning more towards the fajitas. Fried bread taco. No, we're going to try to stay away from the fried stuff here. We want to keep it relatively healthy. But it seems that Taco Tuesday is the winner of the session here, Sharif. Well, see, the thing is, Dwyer, they're not at $20 a dozen here over here in Canada. They're about $5-6. What do you pay for a dozen at the grocery store, Sharif? About $5-6 for a quality pair, right? You know what I mean? A quality set, right? So we're not. Hey, we'll switch a lot of things. If you guys want least expensive eggs, we'll take the better economy, and then we can switch out for that. But I don't think you guys would want that type of trade-off. Fajitas rock, yes they do. Protein pasta, we like this one. Chorizo tacos, baked salmon and veggies, we like that one. I got some salmon in the freezer. We might have to fry that up with some nice rice and vegetables. Let's see what Dara is up to.
Yeah, we have to keep an eye here on this market. Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, speaking right now. She said the market's that the U.S. is in, quote, a period of economic transition. She also said the stock market numbers are a snapshot of a moment in time. Another thing that's worth noting here is apparently the S&P 500 is now 10% from its record high, which means it's set to enter a correction. So S&P 500 in a correction territory as we get comments from White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt about a period of economic transition, guys. Back to you.
Same. Pathik says the market is forcing him to eat ramen noodles lately, so a little bit tougher of a go here. We're all right here beside you, brother. That's some good stuff. 15 eggs, only two. Okay, a couple quid there over there in the EU for 15 eggs there. Sharif, what do you got going on?
All right, we're in PAY, got in at 95, scalped out there into 05s. That's as good as it got. Now we're out of the money by 3 pennies. So it's going to have to hold up above 60s. This is a VWAP retracement and a price action support trade. It's the only reason I'm in this. I'm not happy with the spread. I'm not happy with the volume. But today, slim pickings, to be quite honest with you. So we'll see if PAY wants to hold up above the volume weighted average price, up 21 and change. I was able to get the print, as I mentioned, at 05s. It's showing me 05s again. Let's see if this one can continue onward and upward. Now, this is the one that, I kind of got wrong here. I felt maybe even when we topped out at 233 high a day, we come back in and we test 194, and that's as good as it's going to get on the day. I was wrong. You can't be right on this one so many times. At least I can't be. So 195 area low, that was the money fill. You got $2. That's another good fill as well. And then all the way up we go again to test the high teens. It looks like we might be going into that 20 area. I'm talking about RAY, predictable higher lows and higher highs. Somebody in the chat was not very happy with the fact that I was talking about RAY so many times. And he's like, this really looks like a gamble. And why do you keep talking about it? So, to the untrained eye, it might look like a gamble. But that's probably because you trade either large caps or don't trade at all. In any event, these small cap gappers have a style of trading. They have a very consistent way of giving you profits off price action, support and resistance, and trend specifically with these ones, as opposed to, previous area levels like we do on these large caps and whatever. So I wouldn't say that this is a gamble. Is it more high risk? Absolutely, it's more high risk. It's not an established company. If because of its small float, if a bigger seller comes in, can absolutely push it down. But I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a gamble, nor would I be confident as you were in making these type of sweeping pronouncements about that kind of thing. So if I were you, I'd be more willing to learn than to make these pronouncements. Shout out to you. Thank you for your very valuable opinion about small cap gappers. So I'm going to continue to watch here. PAY, we're still dancing around this $30 area. I put my stop below the area low, so that's like a 29.64 area. So if that makes a new candle to make a 5-minute low, that will be the end of the trade for me. But I've already de-risked a little bit on the way up. Day trader cut. We just hit 10% from the highs on the S&P. We are officially in bear market. Yep, it is a hard row. So get ready, baby. Pretty Panda, Sharif. What's hit 100 first? SQ or TSLA? I got no idea. City Boy. 305, get facts, my man. There we go. Naveen, MSTZ, target 26. Let's have a look. MSTZ. What do we got over here? Okay, so what is this first and foremost? Is this a thing off MSTR? MSTZ, let's find out. Yeah, 2 times inverse MSTR. That makes sense. So looks like we're moving down. Let's go to the 5. What's our situation here? I don't know. I don't know how I would trade this. Well, we're above VWAP now, above this area high. So if you flip it, that's really the look on MSTR. I like it. I like the look right now. You're above this area high. The break-even point of the day for this bad boy is 26 2/3. Great looking double bottom. Great looking double bottom. Great neckline break there. Whether or not we continue on our way up and take out the highs, it's just kind of hard to say because we're so consolidative. You got good areas of technical support at the low there at 22.5, but I don't know if we continue to move up. I think it's going to be market dependent. Obviously, if Bitcoin continues to tank, and by extension of that, MSTR continues to tank, well then you'll get this one popping up above 26.17. Hard for me to know though. So harder to gauge there. What else we got in the chat? Throw out your tickers there in the chat since I'm basically only looking at PAY and RAY. I don't mind looking at some of these stocks for you guys. So if you want me to look at something, absolutely throw it in the chat. Would have a look at that for you, Joseph.
Yeah, Jimmy, this is my thoughts on VZ. I know you mentioned it. You like 428, 42.86. But this is how I'm going to look at it, right? So we'll zoom out from a daily. Actually, we'll go to the 2-hour here. So we went on this nice run here, Jimmy. You can see that we kind of went parabolic and nice. But then if this name was extremely strong, and let me know what you think about it, because this is just my 2 cents, right? So we went on this nice move here, essentially parabolic to the top side. But I feel if this name was relatively stronger, we wouldn't have came back to the bottom of the zone. Can I be wrong? Absolutely. I'm only looking at this from a technical perspective. But if I were to be looking at a stronger name, especially on this run right here, I would be happy with about a 20 to 30% pullback, right? Okay, we're just gonna use a different metric. So about half of this move roughly, but we engulfed this whole move that we put in for a 2, 4, 6, 8, about like 20 hours of trading here, gone in 2 hours. And I'm thinking to myself, if it was stronger and gonna be genuinely strong and continue to do so, that we would have held up a little bit better than coming back to the bottom of the range and then now running into the support level. I could be totally wrong, but the chances of us testing this, this phase phase right here, this system, multiple times and without breaking it is probably low. So I would lean a little bit more to the short side on this, Jimmy. Just let me know what you think about it and how you feel, how you guys feel about this possibly as well too, because we've gone through this on multiple equities, whether it be the market or even individual stocks, is that when we cracked those really important levels, we continued on that path to the downside. And I'm looking at VZ in that same kind of lens there, guys. So let me know what you think about that, Jimmy. I'm curious about your 2 cents, because you were right on those days that it was trading higher. It was actually one of the best charts in the session that I've seen. And then you had back-to-back days with that type of price action. All right, so let's take a look at Bitcoin. I know Sharif was just talking about it. Are we hovering around that 80,000 still? Or are we south of 80,000? 81, we'll call it. 81 and change here, guys. Looking for somewhat of a better bounce. Again, we were looking for these to hold as well. Are we going to tap into that 70, the mid 70s? Possibly. We already have 76 with a low, and I think it traded as low as 72. So at some point, so not a good look. Let's see what Adair is up to.
Caroline Leavitt here of the White House still speaking to the press. One interesting comment, I would keep an eye on Tesla here potentially. We're at a kind of key level here, that 225, saying that Donald Trump will be viewing a new Tesla. We know earlier today he said that he will buy a brand new Tesla, quote, to support Elon Musk. Apparently the Tesla is being viewed. Also worth noting here, now we have some comments from the Ontario Energy Minister saying that they cannot accept this interruption in the free flow of goods with the U.S. So really some, I guess, concerns here more about tariffs, also potentially Tesla on watch. Caroline Leavitt still speaking, guys. Back to you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Adara. Yeah, DJT, a couple people in the chat were talking about this thing has continued to sell. I think this is a sell the fade, absolutely sell the pop at any point. A high of 54, down about 65% off of that recent high there, Sharif.
Absolutely, yep. Still involved in pay over here. Still holding that $30-ish area. Now it's 4 candles that have defended at the volume weighted average price. I'm trying to pack my patience, trying to not to take it out too quickly, knowing that there could be a nice move up at least into that $half area. That would fill the majority of my orders, and then we can leave a piece for the dream possibly into 31s. All the while knowing that even though this is a predictable area of support, I'm talking about $30 on pay, that we were preceded by incrementally lower lows and lower highs. So we had a downward channel that we may not be able to recover from. VWAP, $30 price action support or not. So that's the look right now. We're printing 30. I'm long 95. Is not really a whole lot to report on there. There is something to report on, though, with respect to RAY. We now have a double top at $2.33. That's not the end of the matter. You got 2 topping tails into 2 1/3. So right away, you know there's a seller of note in and around there. That's number one. Number two, I still wouldn't write this trade off. Even though we've double topped, topping tail candle into 2 1/3, you're still getting incrementally higher lows on every successive 5-minute candle. So the bulls, believe it or not, still in control of this bad boy as it looks to take out that 233 HOD. Whether it does or not really depends on whether the bulls can overwhelm the seller who has been at 233 essentially since we touched it initially at 110. So the better part now of 25 minutes using this 233 as a local area of resistance. But when you look at the lows, that is the main part of this story, I would say. The lows of every successive 5-minute candle a little bit higher than the previous one, which just shows you that the trend is still intact. That trend is to the high side, obviously, being up 150%. So I'm not going to get into this one too quickly, but if it does take out 233, it becomes an entirely different trade. In the same way that we talked about if it took out 2, it became a different trade. Why is that? Well, we know that that seller of note is there, I should say, at 233 for a long time. It's the same thing as we said about that seller that was there from $1.85 to about $2 and kept this one basically down below $2 all morning until we finally took it out. So I will be looking for that 233 break. If we get that 233 break, I likely will treat it in the same fashion that I traded it to Adair. What's up?
It is worth noting here, we still have comments coming through from White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, specifically about the stock market. She was asked how the tariffs are likely to affect the market given what we've seen this week. And she said, well, we're just going to have a great I guess, churn long-term in America. So Caroline Levitt not really addressing the concerns here that people have about the market as both the NASDAQ and S&P 500 in correction territory now, guys. Back to you.
Farm Trader says something interesting here, Sharif. Tesla accused of gaming.
Yeah, that's an old story.
Yeah, it's an old story. Last week. Yeah.
So I got the story. If you want me to cover it.
Yeah, cover it real quick.
So what happened was Tesla basically reported their cars sold in Canada. And there was an inordinate number of cars that were sold at dealerships that had never reported that kind of sales volume before in that short a period of time. So a guy by my same last name, Adrian Gabriel, who's a CTV news anchor, did like a special report. He went to one of these Tesla dealerships and he basically said, hey, can you tell us anything about this spike in Teslas that all took advantage of the rebate program? And interestingly enough, took advantage of the rebate program right before its expiration. Kind of like you guys, our rebate program for EVs is coming to an end or winding down. And so a lot of these sales took place right before that. So he went to investigate to see whether he could find anything. So he couldn't find anything. There was really nothing reported other than the sales volume taking place at a precarious moment in time. So what I said to my old man, because my old man and I were talking about this, I said to him, number one, the EV tax credit, right, I believe goes to the end user, not the company. So that's number one. So how could it be the company using the tax credit to its advantage? That's number two. We know when you buy Teslas online, if you get it through an online purchase, like if you put the reserve, which many of us do, they assign that purchase to a dealership. They don't just hold it corporately and centrally. So when you have an influx of purchases online, they're assigned to the local dealerships that you have wherever you live. So my thinking was it could have just been a spike online and then they just attribute it to the dealerships. Nothing really came of that report other than specifically an inordinate amount of orders at a time where right before the expiration of the tax credit. So I thought that was super interesting. But yeah, that was a story from last week.
Think it was some big dog stepping in and buying a bunch of Teslas at a discount or what?
No, it's just people buying.
People buying? Okay.
Well, again, I'll kind of explain it again. So if you buy a Tesla on right now, which dealership do you think gets credit for that Tesla?
The one that sold it to me, no?
Well, you bought it online.
Oh, online. Oh, okay, right? okay.
So they attribute, they assign it to a dealership local.
Okay.
Right? So he was saying there were 2 dealerships or 3, I forget.
That just kept getting assigned all these. Okay, all right, I see what you're saying.
So I need to see more about that. He didn't find anything. He went to the guy told him, get the hell out of here, we can't give you any of this information. And he walked out with it like a dog with his tail in between his legs. I mean, he didn't find anything other than to tell us the fact that there were a lot of orders right before the tax credit.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I didn't get anything out of it.
I mean, what can you get from it? I'm just trying to think, kind of gather my thoughts here to say why just at the deadline, why is everybody just coming in and buying all these Teslas all of a sudden, right? I don't know. Can you sell it aftermarket for a little bit more?
The EV rebate was expiring.
Oh, okay. So that's why. Yeah. So it's expiring. Okay.
Car, all right.
I was listening. I was clearly listening, Mike. But I'm just curious. I'm thinking. Okay. So I understand that it's expiring, but now that it's coming to expiration, everybody has to jump in and buy this EV. Why don't you buy it?
It's like
you've had it years.
Product on sale.
Right?
You're going to get a lot of people buying towards the end of the sale.
That's fair.
You know what I mean,
that's fair.
I don't know. There's really no proof one way or another. I want to make that very clear. That he wasn't exonerated. It's not like, he explained himself and everything was in the clear. But the other side of the coin is you haven't made the case for any impropriety either. So it's kind of like you're just caught in a situation where you don't know what the hell's
you have no control over the dealership you're referring to, right?
No, I just mean you and I.
Okay,
looking at the story, we don't really know.
We have no idea what's going on.
Exactly.
So I'm curious too as well. I don't want to dive into this too much time. We only got about 20 minutes, but why was it only 2 dealerships that were allowed to have all these sales, considering you're buying them online? Why wasn't it distributed a little bit more equally? And
well,
then
that's what I was saying to you,
and then
right?
it wouldn't be as suspect.
So right now, I log in, I put like a $250 order, let's just say on the Model Y launch edition, all right? So who gets that sale, Joseph? Is it corporate? Is it central? Or is it a dealership located near my home address? So if I'm buying it online, they assigned it to a dealership locally. That's my understanding of how things happen. But you can always juice the numbers, bro. I'm not trying to defend the guy. I'm just telling you, out of that story, I got very little in terms of incriminating evidence.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, you can dive in that to pretty easily, I guess, too, just see who bought what and where. So there we go, guys.
Well said.
IBIT starting to pop up a little bit here, guys. I'm not going to look to take the long, maybe fade the short. We are holding this trend line here. If we run into it and then we see any form of resistance, then maybe we'll look for that fade. But I know Dara has some stuff over at the desk.
We got a pretty telling, I guess, Q&A here right now. Still hearing from Caroline Levitt. We've got a lot of questions right now for her about the market. And so one journalist asked, how much will the market have to fall? What will it take for Donald Trump to address the situation going on in the stock market? Because in case you missed it, President Donald Trump has repeatedly said he's not paying attention to the market. And Caroline Levitt said that he will be unwavering in his commitment to everyone, including Wall Street and Main Street, and that he's a president they should bet on. So really continuing to not address the concerns with regards to the market. So basically, long story short, we don't even have a number of the extent to which this market could fall before it gets addressed here, guys. Back to you.
Thank you very much for that, Adara. All right, guys, still waiting here on pay. It's been a while since this one did anything, but that was kind of what I was looking for here, to be quite honest. Kind of sounds silly, but I was looking for proof that this white line on my chart was going to be an area of support and resistance. I can never really know until the price gets there and actually trades off there. For the moment, we have had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candles all hold above that 10. Don't even worry about the tickers. We're not going to do a poll for 15 minutes. They're at 15. Sorry, at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 candles actually at that volume weighted average price at $29.75. It's been holding, so there does seem to be a buyer there. Now, the problem is we're getting declining volume. Now, if we get declining volume, can we really move up with any vigor? And that's kind of my concern about this one. So I like the fact that it held up at the volume weighted average price, an area that we earmarked as area support, given the initial top end of the bull flag. But you're not getting that incremental volume that heads to the high side to allow for the price action to move up. So I am a little concerned with this one because it can be a flat bottom break. We've seen this story before where we put in lower lows and lower highs. We find a consolidation area where we hold up for a period of minutes, 10, 20, 30, whatever. And then the selling comes in and pushes it down. So unless and until the volume kind of moves up here on PAY, I will kind of be concerned a little bit about this one. So we'll pack our patience and see exactly what comes of this. RAY continuing to respect the 10 exponential moving average. However, it's not as directional nor as strong right here above $2 as it was below 2. Look at the amount of topping tail candles we have here, all into that 2 1/5, 2 1/4, 2 1/3. There's a lot of aggressive selling. So we know for a fact there was a seller at 233. No doubt about that. We've seen a double top there with topping tail candles, but now we're kind of getting that same look at this 225, 220 area. The only really good news is we're kind of putting those incrementally higher lows, right? So that's the only thing. It's respecting the 10 exponential, but I kind of feel there's a lot of downward pressure on this one, RAY. Let's see what comes in. If we move up, I'll be pleased as dang punch, but won't be taking the trade until it takes that 233 area, Joseph.
Yeah, nice look there, guy. We're running into some resistance zones. Are we going to fade this pop? Nice engulfing candles. If we open up below it, then maybe we'll look to get involved. But I said I'm going to be hands off for the remainder. There's only about 15 minutes left, and I just stabbing away at the old accuracy there. So we'll be calm, cool, and a little bit more selective here on the day, guys. We got 15 minutes, and with that being said, let me know what you guys are looking at in the chat. We will go over it. Sharif said he's going to go over some things for you. I'll go over whatever names you want us to. Give us something new. Give us something exciting, something that we don't look at necessarily every day because we want to expand those horizons. So yeah, let me know. Holding this level, of course, here when I'm like, hey, let's fade this pop here, we continue to climb higher. Tesla bloodbath. Let's take a look here. It's been bleeding, and I don't know if it's continuing to do so. It looks like it's starting to bounce a little bit here, so we'll take that. Told you I'm waiting for a half decent bounce, maybe to 300. So yeah, being a little bit patient. TTD, all right, the trade desk, someone asked us for. Good one, something we don't look at from a day-to-day basis, but guess what, guys? Nothing new here. Following the broader market. Nice strong opening drive though, not liquid in the pre-market, but a nice strong 5-minute opening drive, climbing to a high of 62. I believe they reported last week as well. So the trade desk just following the cues here. We are getting a pop, which isn't too bad, and we'll take it, but trade desk not looking to participate just yet. Please take a look. Let's see who has tagged me. Joseph, please take a look at PAMP. Okay. I thought that was a 50 Cent song here for a second there. Yeah, well, I know that's, I know what that is. They're Katina, man. I can't even pull up PAMP, so I'll pull up IT. Pardon me? Oh, I thought you said it's the other word, like the 50 Cent song. Was it Fabian?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Katina, man. All right, so I just heard it was really close to me. Not even liquid whatsoever. Not even liquid whatsoever, so I'm not going to take too much of a look at this name on IT, not even Gardner Inc., not even familiar with what they do, but I can pull up and look at the market cap, etc. on IT. So let's see. Oh, that's not it. Oh, that's not it. No pun intended. So let's see what we got cooking up, guys. 35.4 billion delivers actionable objective insight to executive and their teams. It operates through the 3-segment research conference and consulting. The research segment delivers independent objective insight. So consulting firm maybe sounds like on this name. I mean, hey, from a daily standpoint, it's not too bad, right? Oh, did they do some? Oh, no. So yeah, I mean, not from a daily standpoint, it's not too bad. And I've never actually heard of this name before. Let's take a look at how it's performing year to date. Probably not too good. Oh, okay, yeah, down 5%. But we did construct an all-time high here around the 5th of February. So last month, put in an all-time high and now giving it back, moving down with the broader market. I'll go over one more name before we send it back to Sharif and see what everybody's up to. Mara, okay, we'll take a look at Mara. I'm assuming it's not going to be trading very well considering that it follows Bitcoin quite heavily. We are getting a pop in the market, and we're getting a pop in Mara too. Bitcoin heading into some key resistance levels. Let's see if it can break through. We only got about 10 minutes left in the show, but 2 hours and 10 minutes left in the trading session. So Mara hovering around the lows of day. Let's take a look at it from a daily standpoint. Still down here. You're not going to get the nod from me on this name. Bitcoin miners not doing so good and continuously not to do so. Think about how long we've been trading in this range here, guys. Back to July of 23. If I keep going, this is in April of 23. If I keep going, we're at the same level of October of 22. I don't like the miners, Sharif.
All right, man. Yeah, neither do I. The miners is such a hard play.
Yeah.
I'd rather take the pure play or go through the ETF. It's such a nuanced game because of the whole halving cycle and the issues that come with the profitability of those. It's not like a commodity, regular commodity. Like oftentimes you always hear market analysts, they talk about, do you want to own the commodity or do you want to own the company that takes the commodity and then makes a physical good out of it? Because there's a margin there to be made, obviously. Most people, I'm not saying all, most people want to trade the company or invest in the company that takes the commodity and then produces a physical good. I would submit to you that mining, Bitcoin mining, might be one of those ones where you might want to rethink that kind of philosophy because it's just so nuanced and really nobody's taking Bitcoin and making anything out of it, right? In the sense where like, you can kind of package different ETFs and stuff like that, but you don't actually make Bitcoin into anything in the way that you do with gold, in the way that you do with oil, and all the other commodities that we all know exist out there. So my thinking here is I want to be involved directly. If you want to call Bitcoin a commodity, obviously it's not. I'm just giving you kind of a parallel example. That would be my thinking. Get directly involved in the name itself. Forget about the miners. They got good beta when they run, but they're a bamboozling bunch. I'm quite happy with the trade here on PAY. We just took 45 pennies, quick as you like. It was a very predictable trade, a pullback into the volume weighted average price on PAY. I got in 29.95s, and we just wet the beak there at $3.40. So I'm happy with the execution on this trade. Definitely looking for another move up. Now the high of the day on PAY is 31.13. But let me make my case to you guys. I feel there may be an area of resistance coming soon. I'm talking about that $30.50 area. Look how many times we came into that 30.50 and we bounced. And look at this long, very prolonged period of consolidation between 12.35 until we dropped into VWAP at 115. So that could be a bit of an issue there. PAY, great move off the volume weighted average price, which also overlapped with previous price action resistance. I'm talking about the top end of this bull flag. If you're not familiar what a bull flag looks like, essentially is a flag, right? You got a big move up, that's the pull, and then you get sideways consolidation. That's kind of the flag or the pennant. And the top end and the bottom end of that pennant or range acts as areas of support and resistance depending upon where the price action is. So we come back in to this predictable area over here at 29.80, say maybe a little bit higher, 29.90, and we bounce. So that's what got me into the trade. I just want to make that very clear. Now, RAY is one that we've been talking about all morning today. It gave up the ghost at 2. That was my concern, that we had that double top at 233 and that was going to be as good as we could do, that 233 pump, and now we're below $2. Well, the first time on the day, not the first time on the day, the first time since 12:50, so the better part in an hour, we've been at the 20 exponential. And now here's the look. As you can see, I've drawn a support trend line over here where basically the price has very much been respectful of this trend line. So this trend line bottoms out right now. It looks like at $1.90. Now that $1.90 is a previous area of resistance. Remember we were involved in this one. 185, 190 was rejecting. So this trend line could be an interesting pickup area if it does dip down. I would basically, if you were going to get in at 190, my area stop would be below the volume weighted average price. So I'd risk like 10, 15 pennies on RAY if I was to get involved, which I'm not because there's only 7 minutes left on the show. So I don't want to be nursing this one while I'm at the green screen. The point is, price action support has been respected with respect to the price action that basically bounces off this trend line. That currently takes us down to about $1.90. Let's see if this one wants to bounce off that $1.90. RAY, the biggest name in the market on the day, obviously being $2. It's not saying much, but right now bouncing right back off into $2 again. Wow, price action support coming in fast and furious there. Doesn't even touch the lower trend line there into that $1.88, Joseph. So we're going to watch to see what the situation is right now with RAY. Let's see if it moves back above 233, topping tail candles, double top, but looking to basically shadow that consistent pattern it's had of higher lows. What do you got?
Yeah, we got a $2 super chat. Extend the 2 on there. RDDT, put option bearish. So we got this one ready. The thing is, though, that this is my mindset, right? You don't, we're at extreme lows. RDDT down closer to 50%. 53% off of those all-time highs. Do you want to be chasing a put option down at these levels? My opinion, no, right? Slightly oversold, so you don't want to be buying at or selling at the lows when you can get into this potential squeeze territory. But there are multiple things that you can do in order to construct a profit. If you're looking to create some passive income in RDDT, I'm going to pull up my options chain for you right now, and we can start putting together some trades. All right, so this is what I'm thinking on RDDT. If you are still going to remain bearish, right? Because I don't know how much longer we can remain bearish when we're continuing to plummet. I mean, down 50%, that's a tough look. I don't know necessarily what you're going to be looking at. So 1 second before I go to Adara, if I'm looking at the money calls, we're going to be paying with a 3-day expiration cycle. No, we don't like that. If we're going to be buying something, we're going to go a little bit farther dated out, and that's going to be April. That is going to cost us $14.05. All right, to continue lower at the money put. But what we can also do is find a nice support level or resistance level and start selling some premium if you want to remain bearish, okay? So you can go to 556, all right? So you can go to the 155 call and create a bear call spread and collect roughly $150. Well, $110, we'll call it, that expires April 25th. So that's 45 days from now, opposed to just buying at the lows here. And that's not necessarily what you want to do. There's ways you can manipulate these contracts and benefit from them. But let's see what Adair is up to.
I think it's worth noting again here. Once again, keep an eye on Tesla. TSLA trying to break out right now. Pretty consolidative and holding some of these higher lows. With regards to Tesla, I know I had mentioned earlier that there were some comments made in the White House press briefing just now with Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt about Tesla and if Donald Trump would be getting a Tesla. Caroline Leavitt ended the remarks and the conference by saying, "You might see the president in a brand new Tesla later today. Goodbye." So TSLA literally ending off this conference here, worth noting here. Just keep an eye on Tesla potentially being purchased here. Very likely, it seems like, by Elon Musk ally Donald Trump. Back to you.
Got your money on a Cybertruck, Model S, Model X, Model Y, or Model 3?
Cyb.
Cyb?
Yeah, I would want a Cyb.
Not you.
Oh.
Donald, what's he rolling in?
What's he rolling in today? Yeah, I think he comes in a Y.
A Y?
Yeah, or an X, right? That's
new
the
Y?
butterfly.
Yeah, I can get behind that.
He's not coming in a Cybertruck. Sorry, I thought you were asking me. I was reading it.
He's coming in a Cybertruck?
Oh, he's got his money on the side. No, I think he comes classy, man. I don't think he's coming in the Cyber.
I'm just thinking, if he asked Elon, what would Elon want to push the most right now?
To him?
Is it the Cybertruck or is it the new Juniper?
Probably the June. No, you want something new, no?
Best-selling car in the world.
So there you go. I'm going to say, we may as well make it a little bit better and give it to Donald.
After all.
So what do you think he's going to come
El
side?
Presidente. Does he just come in a regular Model Y?
I don't know. You think he comes
like
side?
A common man car, though, no?
Yeah, common. But I mean, he's for the people, right?
He's for the people. That's a good point.
He's for America. So he wants to show America that, hey, that's
definitely the Cybertruck. I want to hear what the chat has to say. Does he even show up? Maybe he shows up in the new Roadster that we've been hearing a lot about.
Yeah. There's no chance
he's putting rockets on that bad boy?
Yeah, well, let's one step at a time here, maybe. You know what I mean?
We don't even be making it up. It's him saying it.
No, I know it's him saying it, but he's also saying a lot of stuff too. Like we're getting the cheaper $20,000 car.
Yeah.
We're still waiting on the Robo fleet.
He's not going to put like
you know what I mean?
real rockets on there.
No, but he's going to put.
I think he's putting plasma rockets on there. The whole point is to get it from 0 to 100 in under 1 second.
So
whether he actually does that?
So what are they rechargeable rockets?
Yeah, you're probably going to have to put plasma every now and again, every time you use them. Yeah, I'm assuming. At least it's not like a control.
I'm not. Mine and Elon's relationship right now isn't too healthy.
That's okay.
Yeah.
The guy did nothing other than try to serve his country and just get crapped on.
Hey, man.
Anyway.
Hey.
Guys, we're breaking down here on RAY. We're coming into that predictable level of support. I'm talking about this trend line right here. This could be an interesting pickup right here, guys. RAY definitely off the highs into that 120 area. That 233 area now back down into 190. If I was going to continue to trade for another hour, this would be definitely a trade I'm looking at with my area stop being below the volume weighted average price. It's shown its disinclination to want to respect VWAP. I made the joke earlier that VWAP looked like the line of best fit, but it's shown its inclination to respect, for whatever reason, this higher low situation with this trend line being respected. So that $1.90, I'd be getting long if this were about 15, 20 minutes ago. I'd be able to, nurse it maybe into that $2 area, but it is now 2 o'clock. So we're going to send you to Obi because Sean's not there.
We can hold off for a couple. I mean, you didn't watch it.
Yo. What's going on? Thank you, guys. That Tesla 0 to 100 in 1 second. I'm more concerned about like the whiplash that might be associated with that. So I don't know what's really going on there, but we'll see. We'll see what the president rolls out, and I'm curious to know. And yeah, throw it up in the chat. I want to know what you guys think here as I pull up the chat for myself. I was going to say for